Good evening. Notice of this meeting stating the date, place, and time has been disseminated as required under the Open Public Meeting Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975. This meeting is called to order. Mr. Clerk, please conduct the prayer and flag salute.
God of the universe, look thou with favor upon these here assembled, and bestow thy guidance upon the members of the governing body in their deliberations. This we ask in thy name, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. In event of emergency, the proper method for exiting the council chambers is through the three rear doors in the back. Occupants should proceed down the staircase, out the front of the door, move away from the area to the front steps. Anyone in the public wishing to speak during the public comment session at the end of the meeting, please sign in on the sheets, the white sheets provided in the front of the room. Please turn off all cell phones or place them on vibrate. If you must take a call, please leave the chambers to do so. Mr. Clerk, call the roll.
Mr. Kalbas.
Here.
Byer.
Here.
Brown.
Here.
Armstead.
Here.
Cosby Hurling.
Here.
Sadowski.
Here.
Medichenko.
Here.
Yamakaitis.
Here.
Medina.
Here.
Kaczynski. Mr. Moore.
He's excused. Here. All right, we'll move it to the minutes, asking for a motion for approval of minutes for February 18, 2014.
Move for approval and request a second, Mr. President.
Second.
Mr. Kalbas.
Abstain.
Byer.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Armstead.
Yes.
Cosby Hurling.
Yes.
Sadowski.
Yes.
Medichenko.
Yes.
Yamakaitis.
Yes.
Medina.
Yes.
Mr. Moore.
Yes. We have some presentations tonight, and I would like to ask the mayor, Councilwoman Cosby Hurling and Councilwoman Yamakaitis to step forward to the podium. This is for
Women's History.
Marilyn Copeland, for Women's History Month. And then I'll call her up.
Okay. Mrs. Copland, could you please come forward? I'm so proud to announce that this year, Mrs. Marilyn Copland has been named to receive the award from the Union County Commission on the Status of Women for Women of Excellence. Many of us know Marilyn around the city of Linden. She's been a volunteer, only a few years, but if there was ever a purpose, somebody needed a volunteer, it was always Marilyn. With the school system, she was there, city, she was there. So we're very proud of you, Marilyn. I look forward to seeing you receive your award Friday evening. But we have here from Senator Scutari and Assemblyman Green and Assemblywoman Stender a proclamation which I would like to read to you. Whereas the month of March 2014 has been set aside nationally to recognize the outstanding contribution of women to history, and whereas the Senate and General Assembly of the State of New Jersey are pleased to join in honoring and saluting Marilyn Copland, a highly esteemed resident of the city of Linden, who is being recognized as a Union County Woman of Excellence in the category of community service. And whereas this prestigious accolade is being bestowed upon Marilyn Copland in grateful tribute to her exemplary and longtime service to a myriad of community endeavors. And whereas Marilyn Copland has given generously of her time and talent to the City of Linden Library Board, including 8 years as president, and she made significant contributions to fundraising efforts to build a new facility. And whereas, in addition, Marilyn Complin has lent her wisdom and expertise to the Linden Cultural and Heritage Committee, the Junior Reserve Officers Training Corps, the Linden Animal Shelter, the Food Pantry, and the Linden Special Improvement District, and she has been an ardent supporter of the Linden holiday ceremonies and festivities. And whereas it is altogether fitting and appropriate for the New Jersey Legislature to commend Marilyn Complin and to salute her as an individual of outstanding character and exceptional determination. Now therefore be resolved by the Senate and General Assembly of the State of New Jersey that this legislature hereby recognizes March 2014 as Women's History Month, honors Marilyn Complin for her meritorious service, leadership, and commitment, and extends sincere best wishes for her continued happiness and success. And be it further resolved that a duly authenticized copy of this resolution, signed by the Senate President and Assembly Speaker, and attested by the Senate Secretary and Assembly Clerk, be transmitted to Marilyn Complin. Signed, President of the Senate, Stephen M. Sweeney. Congratulations, Marilyn. For only being a few years, you've done an awful lot.
While you were reading this, I was going through my mind to find the appropriate word, and the only thing I could come up with quickly was awesome. And I thank
That's you, Marilyn.
And I thank you very much. I do. I thank the mayor and the council.
We can't let the state legislature outdo the city of Linden. And the governing body and myself truly feel that Marilyn is a woman of excellence for everything she does within our city, whether it's be serving spaghetti and meatballs at fundraisers, serving on the library, serving on the planning board, the animal shelter, you name it, and Marilyn Complin does it for us. And in appreciation of all her efforts, I'm going to read a resolution passed by this governing body thanking Marilyn for everything she does. Whereas President Barack Obama proclaimed March 2014 as Women's History Month to recognize the victories, struggles, and stories of women who have made our country what it is today. And whereas during this month we are reminded that even in America, freedom and justice have never come easily, and therefore we honor the many women who have shaped our history, celebrating those who have made progress in our time. Whereas the County of Union has recognized Marilyn Complin as a woman of excellence for her more than 50 years of never-ending significant volunteer community service. Whereas Marilyn's untiring efforts extend to the young, the elderly, and all the people. And whereas Marilyn's efforts include volunteering with the Linden Cultural and Heritage Committee to preserve the City of Linden's history and to bring culture to the community and surrounding areas in an effort to improve the knowledge and growth of Linden's residents. Whereas she has also helped lead Linden's holiday ceremonies, obtaining free giveaways for the children, refreshments, entertainment for the community, to enhance the enjoyment for all of the spirit of the season, and particularly the children. And whereas Marilyn has also contributed to the education and enjoyment of the residents of Linden while serving as a member of the library board, including 8 years as its president. Whereas she played a critical role in the raising of funds to build a new facility, making the latest technology available to our residents. Whereas Marilyn Complin has worked on many other projects which have benefited, among others, the Junior Reserve Officers Training Corp, the Linden Animal Shelter, the Food Pantry, and the Linden Special Improvement District. And whereas it is evident that Marilyn's numerous contributions have made and continue to make a difference in benefiting and improving the quality of life, not only for the residents of Linden, but also those of Union County. Whereas the Mayor and Council of the City of Linden want to honor Marilyn Complin for her efforts to shape the community and history of the city, and congratulate her on being chosen as Union County Woman of Excellence. Now, therefore, be it resolved that on the occasion of Women's History Month, the Mayor and Council of the City of Linden thank Marilyn Complin for her community service, which has greatly contributed to the shaping of our history, and congratulate her for the honor bestowed upon her by the Union County Commission on Status of Woman, which choose her as Woman of Excellence. Therefore, be it resolved that this resolution be entered in the minutes of the Council of the City of Linden, and that a copy be hereby appropriately presented to Marilyn Complin in recognition of the foregoing. Signed, Council President James Moore, Mayor Rich Garbanca. Marilyn, it's my honor to present you with this.
I'm not much for words, but I want to thank the council, and I want to thank you, Mayor, Roshana, and Michelle, for this, because this is really awesome. And when I go home, I'm taking some of these things off the wall. I'm putting mine up now.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Is Rita Greco here? Would you come up, please?
We also have the pleasure of presenting this to Rita Greco, who was honored as our 2013 recipient from the Union County Status on Women. Last year, our dinner was after our council meeting, so it kind of slipped through the cracks last year, but we still wanted to make sure Rita came up here, was acknowledged. She does so much for the city of Linden. She's a teacher, and she goes above and beyond. She still goes to see her former students at plays. I just saw her Saturday. So wherever there's some place that you need help, Rita's usually there, helping out in some way. So we also have the pleasure of presenting from Senator Sweeney and Senator Scutari, Assemblyman Green, and Assemblywoman Stender. Whereas the month of March 2014 has been set aside nationally to recognize the outstanding contributions of women of history, and the Senate and General Assembly of the State of New Jersey are pleased to join in honoring and saluting Rita Greco, a highly esteemed resident of the city of Linden, who is being recognized as a Union County Woman of Excellence in the category of Arts and Humanities. And whereas this prestigious accolade is being bestowed upon Rita Greco in grateful tribute to her exemplary and longtime service as a myriad of artistic endeavors. And whereas Rita Greco, who has served with distinction as an educator for more than 3 decades, has shared her wisdom and expertise as a member of the Linden Cultural and Heritage Committee for 17 years. And whereas, in addition, Rita Greco has given generously of her time and talent as a member of the Board of Directors of Linden's Community Theater Program and as a producer of the Mystic Vision Players. And whereas, the respected author of the Italian cookbook, La Dolce Vita, Rita Greco has received a host of honors and awards for her numerous accomplishments, including induction into the Mystic Vision Players Hall of Fame. And whereas it is altogether fitting and appropriate for the New Jersey legislator to commend Rita Greco and to salute her as an individual of outstanding character and exceptional determination. Now therefore be resolved by the Senate and General Assembly of the State of New Jersey that this legislature hereby recognizes March 2014 as Women's History Month, honors Rita Greco for her meritorious service, leadership, and commitment, and extends sincere best wishes for her continued happiness and success. And it is signed by our President of the Senate, Stephen M. Sweeney. Mayor?
It's also an honor for me to present this resolution to Rita Greco from the governing body and myself. Rita, we have to apologize for our act of omission last year, but as was explained by Councilwoman Yamakaitis, it was after the council meeting, and things fell through the cracks a little bit. But we want you to know that we appreciate everything you do, from the Mystic Vision Players to our tree lighting ceremony to September to Remember. You're there for the city of Linden, and it's, again, thankful that we have you as a resident. And I'd like to read the resolution, which is honoring you by the City Council and myself. Whereas Rita Greco was chosen as 2013 Woman of Excellence for Arts and Humanities by the Union County Commission on the Status of Women, and whereas Rita Greco has been instrumental in many different aspects of culture, art, history, and heritage in Linden, Union County, and throughout the state of New Jersey. Whereas she served on the board of the Linden Cultural and Heritage Committee, the board of directors of Mystic Vision Players, a community theater company, on the board of directors, and is also an officer of the New Jersey Association of Community Theaters. Whereas Rita retired as a business teacher after 30 years from Roseau Catholic High School, where she chaired the Business Education Department, the Future Business Leaders of America Club, and also moderated the Performing Arts Club and produced at least 40 shows. Whereas Rita Greco, in her work with the Mystic Vision Players, has produced over 50 shows and was honored by her inducting into the Mystic Vision Players Hall of Fame. Whereas during her 19 years on the board of the Linden Cultural and Heritage Committee, she has served as mistress of ceremonies at the annual Christmas tree lighting ceremony and has also organized all the entertainment for the festivities. Whereas Rita Greco is also an accomplished cook and author, having authored 2 cookbooks on Italian cooking, La Dos Vita and Next Door to the Chicken Market. And whereas her culinary expertise has led to the appearance on the Food Network shows Cooking Live and Sarah's Secrets, where she earned the designation Sauce Queen of New Jersey. What sauce was that, Rita?
What kind of sauce?
Oh, okay, there's only one kind of sauce. I forgot, she's Italian. Whereas the mayor and council of the city of Linden wish to recognize Rita Greco on being chosen 2013 Woman of Excellence by Union County Commission on the Status of Woman. Now therefore be it resolved by the mayor and council of the city of Linden, do hereby congratulate Rita Greco for being selected as Union County Woman of Excellence and thank her for her efforts in providing numerous programs in arts and humanities to the residents of Linden and the county of Union. Be it further resolved that this resolution be entered into the minutes of the council of the city of Linden and that a copy hereof be appropriately presented to Rita Greco in the recognition of the foregoing. Signed, Council President James Moore, Mayor Rich Grabonka. Rita, thank you very much for everything you do.
I just want to say a couple things. One, I listened to all that being read. I'm really tired now thinking about all that. And 2, I'm definitely humbled, and I thank all the people who made this possible. I'm proud and happy to be a resident of Linden and to do anything I can to promote culture in the community. We can certainly use it, and it's always wonderful to have those youngsters and even the young adults performing. Thank you again.
Thank you. Loretta Jones, are you here?
She's coming right now. You do so well with the Senate one, so I'll let you do the Senate. You don't have to read the whole thing.
Some of them, I did
They're
cut
different.
some of them.
Okay, okay. Can we have a chair? Good, how are you? Hi, Mrs. Jones. Good. We're going to also present a Woman of Excellence Award to Mrs. Loretta Jones, who's my neighbor, and she has an awesome story. You know, people have humble beginnings and they don't complain, and Mrs. Jones has done nothing but volunteer in her area. We live in the 5th Ward and she lives in Admiralty Towers, but that does not stop her from going all around the city in Elizabeth. She also works with the children at School 4. So I personally thought it was fitting to recognize her for all of her volunteer efforts right here in our community. So Mrs. Jones, it gives me great pleasure to read the resolution that we had from the city of Linden, and we also have a resolution from the state Senate honoring you and recognizing you for all that you have done here in our community. I'm going to read the resolution, and Councilwoman Yamakaitis is going to read the resolution from the state. This is a resolution honoring Loretta Jones for her service to the community. Whereas volunteering is the ultimate exercise in democracy, and whereas individuals vote once a year in elections, but when they volunteer, they vote every day about the kind of community that they want to live in. And whereas Loretta Jones, a resident of Admiralty Towers, epitomizes the dedication and spirit of a true volunteer. Whereas among her activities, Loretta Jones has worked to bridge the generation gap by establishing activities between seniors and students of school number 4, including line dancing, Reading Across America programs, the Dr. Martin Luther King birthday celebrations. And whereas Loretta Jones has also worked to service those of her own generation by providing decorated holiday gift bags to seniors in nursing homes and coordinating events for the Steve Sampson Senior Center. They have a senior stepping group in Elizabeth. And whereas Loretta Jones has also established an English-Spanish Bible study program, coordinates monthly birthday celebrations and a fantastic African American Heritage Celebration and the International Heritage Celebration. And whereas if the heart of a volunteer is not measured in size, but in the depth of the commitment to make a difference in the lives of others, then Mrs. Loretta Jones' heart must be unmeasurable. Whereas the mayor and council of the city of Linden wish to recognize and thank Mrs. Jones for her dedication and commitment to the residents of Admiralty Towers by her unselfish volunteerism. Therefore, be it resolved by the mayor and council of the city of Linden that they hereby recognize and thank Mrs. Loretta Jones for giving so freely of her time as a volunteer to the Linden community. Be it further resolved that this resolution be entered into the minutes of the council of the city of Linden, and a copy hereof be appropriately presented to Mrs. Loretta Jones in recognition of the foregoing. Thank you for all that you do.
Okay. Mrs. Jones, I have the pleasure of presenting to you from Senator Scutari, Assemblywoman Green, and Assemblywoman Stender, a proclamation. I'll read it to you. It says, whereas the Senate and General Assembly of the State of New Jersey are pleased to join in honoring and saluting Loretta Jones, a highly esteemed resident of the city of Linden, who is being recognized as a Union County Woman of Excellence. And whereas this prestigious accolade is being bestowed upon Loretta Jones in grateful tribute to her exemplary and longtime service to a myriad of community endeavors, and whereas an admired resident of the Edward Morawski Towers in the city of Linden, Loretta Jones is respected for her invaluable efforts in bridging the gap between students at school number 4 and senior citizens residents of the building. And whereas Loretta Jones has given generously of her time and talent as a participant in the Reading Across America program, as coordinated annual African American Heritage Celebration and the International Heritage Celebration, as event coordinator for the Steve Sampson Center Senior Steppers Group, and as a founder of the English-Spanish Bible Study Program. And whereas it is altogether fitting and appropriate for the New Jersey Legislature to commend Loretta Jones and to salute her as an individual of outstanding character and exceptional determination. Now therefore be resolved by the Senate and General Assembly of the State of New Jersey that this legislature hereby recognizes March 2014 as Women's History Month, honors Loretta Jones for her meritorious service, leadership, and commitment, and extends sincere best wishes for her continued happiness and success, and is signed by the President of the Senate, Stephen M. Sweeney. Mrs. Jones?
To the mayor, council, and all those who are in attendance, I'm just overwhelmed by this recognition. I just like to say that sometimes when people get elderly and sometimes disabled, you kind of cast aside, you have no use. But I want to tell you that we can do things. It has to be made up in your mind. I don't consider myself sick. I don't consider myself not well, but I believe that I can do as much as I want to do. I also write poetry and publish it. So I'm computer literate, and hey, life is worth living. I don't have a complaint in the world. I thank God that it's as well as it is. Thank you very much.
Thank you for giving us the time. She is amazing.
Thank you, everyone. Move into ordinance on hearing. This is the date and time established for the public hearing on ordinance on hearing. 58-05. Mr. Clerk.
An ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 2, Police Regulations of an ordinance entitled, An Ordinance Adopting and Enacting the Revised General Ordinances of the City of Linden, 1999, passed on November 23, 1999, and approved November 24, 1999, and as amended and supplemented. Chapter 3, Police Regulations, Section 3-12, Reserved, delete Section 3-12 reserved. Add new section 3-12 nuisance alarms as follows. 3-12 nuisance alarms, 3-12.1 regulation penalties. A, first false alarm $50. B, second false alarm $100. All subsequent false alarms $150.
Mr. Clerk, has the ordinance been properly published and posted?
Yes, sir.
Have we received any written communication?
No, sir.
Is anyone in the audience wish to be heard on the ordinance? Would you please come up? 3 minutes, please.
Chivalry is not quite dead yet. Thank you very much. Okay. Pat Hero, Wheat Chief Road. Glad I'm back. With regard to this first false alarm, I think perhaps we should have it as $0. I think burglar alarms are something that we would like to have in the city. They're a good warning device. And maybe for the year, we can let one false alarm go without charging people, because I do think burglar alarms are good, and sometimes things happen. Pets get into areas they're not supposed to, a burglar alarm goes off. You know, the resident finds that out, and then knows to keep Fluffy or Fido down in the basement. So if we had it at zero, I'd appreciate if we had it at 0, then 50, then I guess 150, but not, you know, no, I think we should have 0 for the first false alarm to encourage more people to use alarm systems.
Thank you. Mr. Medina?
Ms. Harrell, I'd like I could add to this because this is something I actually looked into. This is actually not geared towards the residents or homeowner. This is actually geared towards commercial properties that has been a nuisance for quite a long time. It actually it's gotten to a point that our police officers are going to the same location more than 5 or 6 times an evening. So this, by doing this, we're addressing the issue of I believe the current ordinance, it was just so minimal that it was laughable. So by increasing the fines, it will encourage these commercial properties to actually fix their alarm system and reserve our resources for patrolling. Again, these police officers have to respond to every single alarm, and it's also at the officer's discretion. So it's not an automatic thing.
Okay, now, does the ordinance just specifically go into commercial only, or is residential also included, or is it just neutral on the face of it?
I believe is geared towards more commercial, maybe.
Yeah, Councilman, the ordinance is neutral on its face. Most home alarms do not have a large bell outside their rings anymore. They have central stations, ADT or Sloman's, that then would call in. So the false alarms with them are much lower than the commercial false alarms. This mirrors, we currently have no ordinance regarding false alarms for police. We have an ordinance regarding false fire alarms. This mirrors the existing fire alarm ordinance.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Brown?
Oh, John answered my question. That was my point.
Thank you. Anyone else in the audience wish to make comment? Seeing none, I'll ask for a motion.
Yes, Council President, I ask for the passage of ordinance 58-05 and ask for second.
Second.
Mr. Colbus.
No, I'm in agreement with Ms. Hero that the first one should be 0 and then 50 and 100, so on. So I vote no.
Buyer?
Yes, I also agree with the first ward councilman. He just brought to my attention, he had a false alarm today, and so yeah, I agree with him. Go with the first false alarm, 0, and then 50 and 100.
Mr. Brown?
I'm going to vote yes, and I do agree with Ms. Hero, but I just want to be clear that it's also up to the discretion of the officer that they do not have to give it out on the first, and I think talking to our officers, they are pretty lenient, and they do work with the public. So I understand that, Ms. Hero, I totally agree with you. I've had false alarms. I know ADP calls first and says, is everything okay before they dispatch the police. Residents should be given that courtesy, and I know, speaking to our police officers, they have a habit of, working with our residents. So with that, I'm going to vote yes.
Mr. Armstead?
I'm going to concur with the first ward and second ward councilman that the first false alarm should be $0. We should be a business-friendly city, and I think that the police officers have a lot of leeway as well, but I do feel like we should at least waive that first false alarm fee and then go with a $50, $100, and $150 after that.
Crosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Have to agree with the other councilman that maybe the first one, I won't say a freebie, but things do happen, even though it is up to the discretion of the officer going there, but I vote no.
Midichenko?
I also agree that the first one should be 0, but maybe we should keep the second one at 100 and all subsequent false alarms at 150.
Your vote, sir? No.
I vote no. I vote to have the first alarm 0.
Yamakaitis?
I also vote no. I think it should be at 0, and as the councilman mentioned, moving up 50 to 100.
Medina?
Yes, and I guess we will have to go back and look at this again.
Mr. Moore?
Yes, because at caucus last night, I asked, does the police officer has the discretion to make the decision whether or not to institute a ticket, and he does that on the spot, so I vote yes.
The ordinance is defeated.
5807.
06, an ordinance establishing the position of special law enforcement officers in the City of Linden Police Department.
Mr. Clerk, has the ordinance been properly published and posted?
Yes, sir.
Have we received any written communication?
No, sir.
Is anyone in the chamber who wishes to be heard on the ordinance? Please come up. 3 minutes, please.
Pat Hero, We Chief Road. I'm just wondering, is the special law enforcement officers the constable position, or is the constable position different from special law enforcement officers?
Mr. Mayor?
This is a different position. It's just Special 1s and Special 2 under the statute. The constable is a completely different position.
Okay, what will these special law enforcement officers do?
They would, if they're hired, they would be adjuncts to the police department on when they are needed. These are what you typically have down the shore. They use them a lot on the boardwalk for supplementing their summer police force. They have to be trained officers. They're not constables.
Okay, and why would we be needing special law enforcement officers? We already have a rather solid and good police force.
What we would like to do is have these special 1s and 2s be the officers that review our red light cameras so that we don't tie up uniformed officers and we could put them back out on the street. We also want maybe the ability to have security officers being special 1s and 2s for our courts so that, again, we don't tie up uniformed regular officers and they could be out on the street being paid for police work. Again, it's all going to be looked at a little closer and decided whether to use these individuals or not, but we want the ability to have that option.
How much will we be paying these officers?
That's open for negotiation.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Malik?
As part of the review, are they also going to be, you'll be stipulating about how many officers they're going to be needing, for these special law enforcements? That's going to be part of the study?
Well, again, we're going to look at what we're going to use them for, and if we choose to hire them, we'll hire them accordingly.
And they'll be full-time employees then?
No. No.
So they're going to be used for like special projects?
Yes.
Okay.
Anyone else on my right? In the center? On my left? Seeing none, I'll ask for a motion.
Yes, Council President, I ask for a motion to pass ordinance 58-06 and ask for a second.
Second.
Mr. Kalbas?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Brown?
I'm voting no, because just as the mayor said, we don't know how much we're paying these guys, and we don't know what we're using them for, so I don't understand why we're voting on something if we don't know how much we're going to be paying them and what we're going to be using them for, so I'm voting no.
Armstead?
Yes.
Crosby Hurling?
I'm voting yes to establish the positions, and then after a position is in place, we have to establish salary ordinances according to what they're going to do, so I'll vote yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
I
Medichenko?
agree with our 5th Ward Councilman, I vote yes.
Yamakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. Mr. Clerk, 5807.
Bond ordinance is providing an appropriation of $357,500 for acquisition of an automated garbage truck for the Public Works Department, and authorizing the issuance of $339,625 in bonds or notes to finance part of the cost.
Has the ordinance been properly published and posted?
Yes, sir.
Have we received any written communication?
No, sir.
Is anyone in the chamber who wishes to speak on this? If so, please come up. State your name.
Judy England McCarthy from the 7th Ward. My concern is that I have to say that I was hit during Sandy, and the garbage department was wonderful, the sanitation department. And my understanding is that by getting these automated garbage trucks, that part of the perk is that they won't need as many actual employees to do it. Now, I would think that given their commemorable, or what they've provided us in the future, I don't think employees should be minimized here. I would much rather have more employees and less equipment. In this day and age where we're, outsourcing so much to machines, I'd like to see people who have done good service keep their jobs.
Thank you. Councilwoman Cosby Hurley.
I agree, and we're not reducing our workforce by any means by having these trucks. The idea is that we can free some of the employees up to do other things because our workforce is so low. So we'll reduce the truck maybe by a man or two, and they can be doing other things around town.
So they're definitely
It's not to replace people's jobs, absolutely not.
Okay, so their jobs are guaranteed.
No job
Well,
is guaranteed.
I mean, to the extent that, in
Yes.
other words, you're going to not put them to a place where that eventually that they become
They
obsolete.
go away. We still need them. We need more, actually.
Okay.
Councilwoman Brown, you have a comment?
Yeah, just to read, if you would have said maybe 5 years ago, that would have been an issue as far as maybe people losing their jobs. But Public Works, like I stated last month, we keep saying, they're down 30%. So there's days where they have garbage trucks that are laying back because they don't have enough people. By going this route, we're able to ensure that we have more garbage trucks on the road. And then the manpower that we have left over, we can help get our parks clean, Wood Avenue clean, things of that nature. So it's just a matter of working a little bit smarter with the manpower that we have to cover, such a big city. But we're not looking to lay off anybody. We're actually looking to help them make their job a little easier with this as well. Because these garbage cans, I'm not sure if Al or one of the other guys would tell you, I think they can hold up to 90 pounds. Don't quote me on that. And so, at the same time, we're going to be able to reduce some of our worker comp claims. Because right now, you have some of the guys in the back of the garbage trucks that are getting injured. As a result, the benefit for you as a Linden resident, insurance goes down, and we save money on our insurance claims as well.
Thank you. Anyone on my left? Seeing none, I ask for a motion. Please come up. Three minutes, please.
Hi, Judy Miller, 542 Fernwood Terrace. Is this still just a pilot program? Is it just going to be in the 9th and 10th ward?
For starters.
For starters?
Mr. Vendetta?
Come up, John.
Okay, and is it going to be like
Sorry.
one collection?
And Mr.
One
Vendetta?
collection?
One collection per week per resident. It's the 9th and 10th ward is where we're starting. It's all, for the most part, one family residences. It's a little easier to break into the program that way to get our drivers indoctrinated. This is the second truck. There's one was delivered yesterday, the first one. This truck will be the second part as we incorporate it throughout the city. So the 9th and 10th is where we're starting because it's the best place to start with this program.
Why is it the best place?
Because it's all one-family homes, there should be one can in front of each one. It's the greatest way. We were advised this would be the best way to start the program off, to indoctrinate the drivers, to get them used to a completely different, not to mention the residents also.
Where exactly does the can go? Does it go closest to your front door, or does it go next door in a parking spot?
Well, it goes right in front of your house.
In front of your
and
house.
It should be 3 feet on every side that it's open, so the truck can, so the arm can come in and grab it and dump it.
Okay, now what about my garbage tax? If I'm only getting collected once a week, and everybody else is getting it twice a week?
That's not for me to say. I believe
Council
you're gonna get
President?
appropriate service.
That's not part of the ordinance there.
Tell her how much.
You can.
The can, how
Well, the can
much
is a
they-
95-gallon can, and it's also going to be, it'll hold almost 300 pounds. So you'd be surprised, it's massive. But it's not heavy to move, it's on big wheels, it's light, but very sturdy. It can hold a lot of weight, and it can hold your week's worth of garbage if you recycle properly.
Oh, I do. I really do. I do. But what about someone that lives in a one-family home and puts out maybe
Council President,
5,
we're
6
beyond the scope of the ordinance.
You have to keep your questions.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Anyone else in the chamber has a comment? If not, I'll ask for a motion, please.
Yes, Mr. President, I move the hearing be closed and the ordinance adopted, and request a second.
Second.
Mr. Colbus?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Crosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Medichenko?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes, 5808.
Bond ordinance amending bond ordinance 57-28 adopted on June 18th, 2013 for the acquisition of new CAD software system to provide for an increase in the appropriation to $961,500 from $841,500.
Mr. Clerk, has the ordinance been properly published and posted?
Yes, sir.
Have we received any written communication?
No, sir.
Is there anyone in the chamber who wishes to speak on the ordinance? Ms. Malik?
How did we miss the mark by $120,000 when we were going out maybe for a bid for the system?
When bond ordinances are done initially, the initial ordinance is done based upon an estimate, not based upon the quotes and prices actually received. So sometimes they're higher, sometimes they're lower. That's when you have to amend it subsequently.
So when you say an estimate for the cost of the system, I mean, didn't they do like an evaluation?
Same way
and-
every other business works. You do an evaluation. You either get an estimate from from several vendors or from engineering, or another department puts an estimate together. That estimate forms the basis of the bond ordinance, because you cannot go out for bid until the bond ordinance is done and approved.
Okay, did we have multiple estimates on this?
I don't know what you mean
On
by...
on the sy- on the s- the system, the CAD system?
The estimate are created in-house in order to do the appropriation first. You cannot go out to bid until you have the bond ordinance in place.
Okay, all right.
Council President, I know the police chief is in-house. If I'm not mistaken, I think this is where the old vendor was holding our data hostage because it's proprietary. So we had to pay X amount of dollars to get that data back to make the system work. I know the police chief could probably speak a little bit on this, but Chief?
Chief Schulhafer?
Right. The original ordinance that was passed last year provided for the purchase of new computer software for computer-aided dispatch and record management for police, fire, and central dispatch. This adjustment is due to the fee that was that is being charged by our old computer vendor in order to translate that last 20 years of data that's in that system into the new system. So that's what the difference is.
So one is for services rendered or to be rendered, and the other's for a kit, the software itself, or the software system?
Yes.
Basically,
Okay.
yes.
Pat Hurrell, you had a question? Did you have your hand up?
Some of it was basically answered, but I am kind of curious because it seems as though it went out for bid last year. I mean, it was going out for bid this year, but yet the bond ordinance was voted on last year. So why is there such a long time lag? I mean, we're talking about June, and now we're talking June 18th, and now we're talking about March 18th.
Council President,
Councilman Brown?
when this project was originally taken, the bid was for the new company we're going for. And just like the police chief explained, then the issue arose, I think maybe late last year, that when we started trying to move the data over, we couldn't move it over because
Right.
for the reasons explained. So then the idea was, well, how are we going to pay for this? Now, we could pay for it out of our current fund, so that's I don't know how many tax points right off the bat that you have plugged in that $100,000. What we were trying to do was talk to our bond counsel to see, can we put this $100,000 that was going to cost us and put it in the capital budget, therefore breaking up that cost on, over a couple of years rather than a one hit on your current fund budget. So that's why I think it took an extra couple of months, because we were also waiting for the response from our bond counsel and everybody else to say, can we do it this way, which we felt was a smarter, better way than just appropriating in your current fund budget. And so that's why I want to say it took a little bit extra time to see this ordinance on here. But in the beginning, we didn't anticipate having to pay the vendor to get our data, which is what we're doing.
I understand, and I guess that we couldn't have sued the vendor, could we?
I think we looked at the paperwork. John can talk more about that. We looked at it for months.
You could always sue someone, but then we may be months to years to getting the system up and running, which is not in the best interest of the city. So the determination was made to proceed this way.
Okay, it just seems that's a large amount of money to have to pay this person, but I guess it is what it is. Thank you.
Councilman Armstead?
Again, Mrs. Hero, the whole issue here was that we were dealing with some proprietary software, and they really had us over the barrel. I mean, we would catch 22 on this one. We really had to go ahead and spend this money to make sure this transition was smooth. So we're in a bad situation from the very start.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else wishes to make comment? Seeing none, I ask for a motion, please.
Council President, make a motion for the passage of ordinance 58-08 and ask for a second.
Second.
Mr. Kalbus?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Medichenko?
Yes.
Yamakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. Mr. Clerk, 5809.
Bond ordinance providing an appropriation of $180,400 for the acquisition of 4 sports utility vehicles for the police department and authorizing the issuance of $171,380 in bonds or notes for financing part of the appropriation.
Thank you. Has the ordinance been properly published and posted?
Yes, sir.
Have we received any written communication?
No, sir.
Is anyone in chambers who wishes to be heard on the ordinance? Pat Hero? Excuse me? I can't hear you.
Oh, it's not just me. Anybody over there needs to want to speak on it?
Well, you had your hand, I saw you first. Would you like to speak on it?
Oh, okay. You want to ask me first? Yes. My problem basically with this is a general spending issue. It seems that during the year, we spend and spend and spend. I'm talking about the council and the city, while we in the audience try to scrimp and save. Now, if you guys stop spending and spending so much, maybe you wouldn't have to tax us with things like garbage fees and such. So I'm going to ask, why does the police department need 4 sport utility vehicles? Couldn't they get by with 3, maybe 2? When you think about how you can do more with less, maybe the taxpayers will get more of their money and not have to spend it on property taxes.
We currently have 5 first-line police vehicles with over 100,000 miles on them. A police vehicle normally lasts us 2 years. We try to turn them over, turn half of the fleet over every year. This will still leave us, even with the 4 new trucks, with 1 first-line police vehicle with over 100,000 miles. It'll be 150,000 miles by the time we're able to purchase next year.
Council President?
Mr. Brown?
So, Ms. Hero, you're right, decreased spending, right? And this is what they did in the past, is where the police vehicles that the police chief's making reference to, those are put in your current fund budget. And so, like, I know there's a couple of years where they didn't replace it. So in their current fund budget, there was maybe $110, $120 that was appropriated for police vehicles, those cars that you see. So last year, the decision was made, we need to replenish this because, you know what, we're spending more money on upkeeping these when they break down, the mileage and everything else, or they're out of service, and the residents are saying, why aren't there police presence out there? Come to find out is that these sports utility vehicles cost about the same price as the regular cars, but now I can put them in the capital budget. So now it's a process of replenishing this fleet that is old and is costing us more money to maintain, and not put it in our current fund budget, where in the past we used to have that, which had an immediate effect on your taxes. We took it out, so we had a couple of years where we didn't have a new fleet, and this seemed like the smarter, better option. Now you say, why 4? It's because for so long we didn't replace these vehicles. So now we're playing catch up to this depleted vehicle fleet that the police department has. It's not a matter of a luxury for them, it's a matter of a necessity at this point.
Okay, thank you.
And thank you. Anyone else in the chamber wishes to comment on the ordinance? Motion, please.
Council President, make a motion for ordinance, for the passage of ordinance 58-09 and ask for a second.
Second.
Mr. Colbus?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Minichinko?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. Mr. Clerk, 5810.
An ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 2, Administration, Article 4, Department Established, Section 2-13, Department of Fire as follows. Delete 2-13.1, Creation of Department Supervision in its entirety. Add new 2-13.1, Creation of Department Supervision as follows. Chief 1, Deputy Fire Chief 5, Fire Captain 17, Fire Lieutenants 20, Firefighters 79.
Mr. Clerk, has the ordinance been properly published and posted?
Yes, sir.
Have we received any written communication?
No, sir.
Is anyone in the chamber who wishes to speak on the ordinance? Motion, please.
Mr. President, I move that the hearing be closed and ordinance 58-10 be adopted, and I request a second.
Second.
Mr. Colbus?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Minichinko?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. Move into the consent agenda. All items listed with an asterisk are considered to be routine by the City Council and will be enacted in one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items unless a council member or citizen so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered in normal sequence in the agenda. We have items 1 through 5. Does anyone wish to remove an item? Seeing none, I'll ask for a motion.
Council President, I make a motion for the approval of the consent agenda from items 1 through 5 and ask for a second.
Second.
Mr. Colbus?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Minichinko?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. We'll move into committee reports. Councilman Colibus, you have a report for us tonight?
Thank you, Council President. I have a few things to report on tonight. First of all, I want to congratulate all the honorees tonight that received certificates of appreciation to the city. Also, I want to congratulate the Linden High School boys basketball team on their Group 4 victory at the state of New Jersey. Tonight, they also advanced to the semifinals of the Tournament of Champions. My colleague in the second ward will elaborate more. But again, I want to congratulate the boys basketball team and Coach Phil Colicchio and all his coaches on all the hard work this season. Keep on moving forward. I have a resolution to read from the engineering committee. Please bear with me because I'm reading it off my phone from an email. So, whereas the Firehouse Number 1, located at 302 Southwood Avenue in Linden, New Jersey, has underground tanks located on the property. And whereas the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection requires the city to submit an initial receptor evaluation from a licensed site remediation program professional. And whereas this council has determined that there is a need to hire an engineer to provide the aforementioned services, and whereas TNM Engineering in Middletown, New Jersey has the expertise to perform said services, now therefore be it resolved that the City Council hereby authorizes the mayor and city clerk to enter into professional services contract with TNM Engineering for the submission of the initial receptor evaluation form to the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection for the remediation of property located at 302 Southwood Avenue, Linden, New Jersey, at the cost not to exceed $5,000. Be it further resolved that this resolution shall become effective immediately. I ask for approval and seek a second.
Second.
Mr. Colbus?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Minichinko?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
From the city clerk's office, the following licenses and permits and transcript were issued in the city clerk's office during the month of February 2014, and fees received have been turned over to the municipal treasurer of the city of Linden. We have a total of 281 transactions for city revenue of $3,706.65 and state revenue $500 for a grand total of $4,206.65. From the city clerk's license to submit this monthly report for the month of February 2014, this office has issued 18 dog licenses, 29 miscellaneous licenses, and collected $2,207. For First Ward residents, Clean Communities has spots available for a councilman. I have a couple spots opened up, or left, should I say. So if you can contact me at 908-925-5568 as soon as you can and I'll go on a first come, first served basis to fill the need for employment. Also, I can also be reached at that number as well if any resident is in the First Ward is requesting a tree to be planted. I will submit my list to the Shade Tree Commission, I believe, by the end of May. And so if you have any interest in having a tree planted on your property, please give me a call at that number. And that concludes my report, Council President.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Byer?
Yes, Mr. President. Yeah, me and Mr. Collins are pretty big basketball fans, and especially Linden High School basketball fans. And Thursday night, Linden High School will be in round 2 of the Tournament of Champions, and that's going to be held at Monmouth University, 7:30, and we're going to be playing St. Joe's of Metuchen. They're ranked #1 in the state. So, hey, Linden, try to get out there and support our team. They need our support. They really get fired up when our fans are out there hollering for them, and they really get fired up, and they put a lot more numbers on the board that way. So I'm really proud of those boys. They're doing a good job. In the construction code, we, the month of February, the office issued 124 permits and 72 certificates. They collected $44,924 in fees for the month. Also, there's a position open in the Construction Code Department. It's for a housing inspector trainee. It's a part-time position, 20 hours a week. Anybody interested, they can obtain a application in the clerk's office. All applications must be returned to the clerk's office no later than March 26th. And the Environmental Commission, they're sponsoring an Earth Day poster contest. They accept the posters from children grades K through 12. The posters need to be submitted by April 7th. They can be dropped off at the Linden Library, but most of the posters are submitted through the schools. Judging will be Thursday, April 10th. Prizes will be awarded at the special April 29th council meeting. And that concludes my report, Council President.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Brown?
Thank you. Approval is requested for the following finance actions. The payment of bills totaling $1,735,082.08. The bills have been signed by the mayor, council president, finance chairman, and detailed check register. And vouchers are in the clerk's office. I move for approval and ask for a second.
Second.
Mr. Kalbas?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Minichinko?
Yes.
Yamakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Thank you. And just real quick, I know in my ward on Clark Street, and I think in Chris's ward, there's a few streets, and in Councilman Arm says there's a few streets. There is some work being done. I don't know if, George, you can explain it about some of the work that's being done and what's going to happen afterwards as far as the street paving with the water pipes.
Mr. Verchik?
The water company is replacing approximately 5 to 10 miles of water main this year. They've been in the 6th Ward, 5th Ward, 8th Ward, 3rd Ward, 1st Ward, 2nd Ward, all around town. They'll be going into the 6th and 7th shortly. This is to increase fire pressures for the fire department plus for the homeowners. If the road is less than 3 years old, the water company is going to repave it from curb to curb. If it's older than 3 years since it was last resurfaced, we will determine how much of the street that they have to resurface. For instance, West Gibbons was recently done. Half of it's going to be resurfaced from curb to the center line, and other half will be done from curb to curb. So it depends on where they put their trench and how old the streets are.
And that's the end of my report.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Armstead?
Yes, Mr. President, I have the following reports. First of all, I'd like to talk about these snow emergency routes. We've discussed with all the council members for them to provide us with some additional snow emergency streets that they feel or deem necessary to be considered. As you know, we had a very severe winter, and we would like to try to avoid some of the pitfalls that we had with snow removal. So I want to let everybody know that council is working very hard at trying to prevent that from happening again. I have directed council to try to get me their streets by next week so that we can work with DPW and engineering and the necessary agencies in town, police and fire, so that we can formulate a plan that will be sufficient for next year. Second thing I'd like to mention is I want to say congratulations to Linden High School. Hey, Don, I'm a fan too. I see the games. You left me out there. But they did have a pretty much a nail-biter this evening. We were watching it on digital stream earlier this evening. They did win, and they will be moving to the second round in the Tournament of Champions, and that's a good thing. When I grew up, we used to say Linden means basketball, and it certainly does. We have a very good basketball program, and I commend Coach Colicchio and the Board of Education for all they do for our athletic programs in this town. And as well as the gentlemen who play on that basketball team. We got some great kids, some very talented kids in that team. The next thing I want to talk about is clean communities. It looks like we're going to be going back to hiring kids for the Clean Communities program. If you are interested in working, you must be 16 years of age. I will be filling the vacancies, 15 years of age. I will be filling the vacancies on a first-come, first-served basis. You can give me a call, or you can email me. My email address is councilmanarmstead@comcast.net, or you can simply call the clerk's office, and he will try to get in touch with me as best he can. Also, we have a tree planting coming up. If you're interested in having a tree planted in front of your house, please give me a call, or you can call the clerk's office so we can add you to the list. I think the deadline for the submission is May 5th. Am I correct me? Who's in charge of that committee?
Councilman Minichenko, he said
Councilman
June 5th.
It's June 5th?
Yeah, June 5th is the deadline. We'd like to get the list hopefully by the end of May.
Thank you, Councilman Minichenko. Also, as mentioned by George Verchik, the water company is doing work in various wards. They are in my ward. They're doing Lincoln Street, so any disruption will be, I hope, minimal. Today we did have an incident. There was a gas line that was hit. We had to evacuate all of Lincoln Street. However, there were no injuries, no fatalities, so I commend the police and the police department and the fire department, all our responders, for doing a great job at getting the residents out of those homes in a timely fashion. It looks like Councilman Byers mentioned that we have a vacancy in the housing inspector's office. So he basically gave the information on that, so we don't have to go through that. There is another vacancy for a position of Clerk 1 in the Law Department at a rate of $18.98 per hour. Anyone interested in the above-mentioned vacancy should obtain an employment application from the City Clerk's office. All applications must be returned no later than March 27th, 2014. And looks like we have an annual wellness day, and it appears to be free if you have Medicare. covered at 100% with no copay or deductible. You must bring your ID and your medical card to the John T. Gregorio Senior Center. That's 330 Helen Street, Linden, New Jersey, April 2nd, 2014, from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. The Woodbridge Medical Group at 270 Main Street, Woodbridge, New Jersey, will be conducting the registration. If you would like to register, you could call 732-636-5252. They're going to be doing a number of procedures. One is a bone density ultrasound scan, abdominal aorta ultrasound scan, medical annual wellness visits, peripheral artery disease tests, peripheral nerve testing, podiatry evaluation, laboratory testing, vision testing, and free hearing screening. And last but not least, I'd like to talk a little bit about the decision that was rendered on Friday, March 14th. The decision by Judge Karen Cassidy to continue with the council president is a correct decision. She issued a summary judgment allowing the citizens of Linden to continue to choose the council president, just as they've been doing since 1974. The lawyers who were fighting to end the 40-long year practice and having ending the practice of having council president elected at large for a 4-year term by the voters were representing some of the same people who toed the line for party bosses and who want to deprive the citizens of the authority to pick the leader of the governing body, because they dislike Council President James Moore personally, and he has been independent from power brokers. Council President Moore ran with me in 2010, and the issue never came up until power brokers could no longer control that seat. This was a waste of the taxpayers' monies by politicians by sending lawyers to court and engaging in a power grab that would deprive voters of the right to select a council president. People deserve the power to elect council members, the council president, and the mayor. So I'm thankful that Superior Court Judge Karen Cassidy has issued a summary judgment allowing the citizens to continue to choose the council president just as they have since 1974. This is a victory for the citizens of Linden. That concludes my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman Cosby Hurley.
Thank you, Council President. Before I begin my comments, I just wanted to mention at the tail end of Councilman Armstead, this went to court because the council president brought it back up to the council, and he asked us to get this over with once and for all. Let's figure out what it should be, elected by the public or elected by the council members. So that's how we all ended up in court. And for those of us who weren't here in 1974, 1984, 1994, we didn't know what it should be. So that was the reason why we voted for that, and I thought it was important, and I believe the council president thought it was important as well. So he got the summary judgment, and it's over. There are a lot more frivolous lawsuits that have come through the city before we got here than this one. This was important for the voters, and it was important for us as seated council members to know what we should be doing, and that's just my opinion. So I'm going to give my report. I want to say congratulations to the Tigers, yay, go Tigers, and also to the beautiful ladies who we honored here tonight. If you just think back maybe 3 years, you'll see that since I've been seated, there are a lot of cultural things and different community awarenesses that we try to bring forward, because some of the things that happen before we get to our meetings or after our meetings, they go unheard. So it's important to me to make sure that our community is loved and recognized, and that's the reason we started to do the African American history in the 5th Ward. And this year, we had an awesome event, and I collaborated with the Recreation Department, and Ms. Martin helped a lot. Her program did posters, and we actually honored another community leader, a highlight woman, Mrs. Curry, who's been in town and doing lots for the city of Linden as she's been here. So we're going to keep doing what we do, and I know in August we usually have our annual 5th and 8th Ward picnic, so you'll be hearing more about that in months to come. My email address is rcosbyhurling@linden-nj.org, and if you want to get the information, we do send out emails. I know that the councilmen have mentioned the part-time open positions, but I want to say that it makes me proud to see the jobs publicly posted on the city's website. I am happy to send them out and give all of the Linden residents an opportunity, even for a part-time position. And that's something that wasn't here when I first came in 2011. I want to thank our neighbors in the Fifth Ward for their patience. We have experienced the water company, and I want to say thank you to the engineering department. I know I did express my gratitude. They sent a strongly worded letter via email to the water company with some of the concerns that we have, and I know that you all, if you haven't experienced them so far, you probably will, with the rocks being left and, you know, the debris from the contractor. So we haven't forgotten that they're leaving messes, and we're on top of that and trying to get, you know, things handled with the water company who's responsible for that contractor. So just, we're definitely working on it. From the Public Property and Community Service Department, we have a report from the Supervisor of Transportation and Parking, Mr. Tyrone Givens. I want to submit the monthly finance report from the Division of Transportation and Parking. This report includes the collection of parking meters, railroad daily parking lots, railroad parking meters, and merchant parking meters for the month of February 2014. The grand total is $37,680.79, which is weird because I thought we only took quarters, so the 79 cents was just threw me off a little bit. That was you? Oh. Also from Public Property, the Recreation Department, we had a question, and there was an issue with whether or not children are allowed to go when it's not their scheduled time. I'm pleased to announce that, yes, the children can go every single day. The limitation is only on gymnasium activities. So third graders go on whatever their designated day is, and they're scheduled for the gym. However, they can go into the game room or the multipurpose room after school. And that's what the center's for. I know that Mr. Luciano's not here, but and I've seen his request. We actually ordered games finally for the game room. We're gonna change some of the hardware and, you know, get stuff there so that the children can have stuff to do after school. We even have a kid who gets dropped off by the school bus. That's how much, you know, the center is available for the kids. So it's open, and it's there, and it's staffed. So I'm looking forward to the new programming that we're gonna have over at the John Street Center. Also, there may be a few seasonal positions left. If anyone wants to work in the playgrounds or the parks, just, you know, the city website has all the information, and then you can contact the Multipurpose Center, 908-474-8639. Ask to speak to Ms. Martin, and she will give you all of the information. The tree crew is almost finished in the Fifth Ward. If they haven't come to your tree, call me and let me know, because we're going to compare our list to make sure that all of the trees that have been waiting get the attention that they deserve, because once they leave us, where do they go? To the Sixth Ward, and we won't see them for quite some time. The potholes have been reported. We're waiting to get those filled in. If there's anything urgent, and the mayor asks that you please call his office for anything that you feel would be extremely dangerous, and I guess he's going to get those potholes done for us. And I think that concludes my report. Oh, just real quick. St. Patrick's Day was yesterday, but I wore my green jacket. And don't laugh, because two people told me that it was yesterday, and I knew that. I just want to say that out loud. But I just wanted to just still wear my green jacket. So happy St. Patty's Day, a day late. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Councilwoman. I have a statement to make. On March 14th, I attended court with Judge Cassidy in Superior Court in Elizabeth, and that the citizens of Linden now will be able to continue to elect the city council president as they've done so for the last 40 years. If the council decides not to appeal the judge's decision, they have 45 days to appeal. So with that being said, I will serve as your legally elected council president until December 31st, 2014. Thank you, and that concludes my statement.
Okay, thank you, Council President. Just a few remarks. Like some of the other council people said, the water company has been busy in the Sixth Ward. If Woodlawn Avenue, Clinton Street, and so on, there are still pipes on the side, they're finished. But I do get calls about, will they clean it up, will they, plant the grass, and so on and so forth. We checked with that, the engineering department checked, and yes, They will come back in the spring, and whatever damage they did, if you want to call that, they will fix that. So if you have anything, please give me a call. I'll have a list ready when they do come back. Might as well give it, my phone number is 862-0749. My computer is still down, and like I said, I'm pretty computer illiterate, so by the time I get it up, who knows when it'll be, but if you have any questions. As concerning the Emma Place residents, two things. One, Blue Acre is going to buy any of their properties. I think there's four homes there. We went to the meeting, I went to the meeting, and it's sort of conflicting. One time they said they would buy only in clusters. The other time they said they would buy single houses. So as it stands now, I have no idea what they're doing. Also on Emma Place, I think we promised them that we would pave the street. It will come, but they're holding off because the water company is going to put new water pipes there. So why pave it and then dig it up and then pave it again? So Emma Place people, yes, you will get that. Also, as some of the other council people mentioned, the DPW with the trimming of trees and so on, they will be leaving the 5th Ward and coming to the 6th Ward, probably within the next week and a half. Please, if you have any sidewalks, curbs, trees to be trimmed, anything like that, please give me a call. And like I said, my phone number is 862-0749. I'll be walking the ward and putting down anything that I see, but if you have any type of complaints, please come, give me a call, and we could put it on a master list. The other thing is the traffic on Route 19 on Woodlawn and Clinton Street. If you pass there, if you notice, there is a sign up saying, "Do not block the box." I stay there sometimes it works, sometimes they just go right through. But we are still working with the state to get that fixed. They were down last fall, and they promised to take care of Woodlawn and Clinton Street and Wood Avenue and so on. But it's still coming, so please be careful there. Mr. Minichenko will be talking about this next one about the jobs, 15 years or older. He'll explain that. Like I said, if you're looking for a job, give me a call back. As concerning Duke Properties and Wawa and ShopRite, the mayor is going to talk about that when he talks tonight, so he will give you a better answer and so on and so forth. But progress is being made. Please, with the weather being nice, watch out for scams and so on this type. If you have any questions, please call the police. The police will gladly come down to your house and check out the person trying to come in or whatever they're trying to do. So once again, please have a nice month, and if you have any problems, give me a call. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Minichenko?
Thank you, Council President. First, I'd like to say it's finally nice to have a meeting here when we don't have a snowstorm. We got a lot more people in the audience, and that's great. Could be worse. We could be living in Maine, but anyway, it's good. I'd like to start off by thanking or congratulating our 3 recipients tonight. They're very well deserved for their accomplishments. Next, I'd like to apologize to the residents of the 7th Ward. On March the 6th, our State President Stephen Sweeney stopped in Linden with his Sandy Bill of Rights tour at the 7th Ward Recreation Center at 1 p.m. Unfortunately, I didn't know all the details of this meeting until Monday the 3rd in the late afternoon, when I was told to contact as many residents as I can. I did contact some residents that I knew were retired. I knew they could make it there at 1 o'clock, and I asked them if they can contact more people, which they did. There was supposed to be a robocall to go out to let the residents know about this meeting. Unfortunately, that didn't come about. With all that said, you know, the meeting did turn out to be a success, so again, I apologize for that. Also, while we're talking about Sandy, I learned about 2 new grants. One is a Sandy Home Repair and Advocacy Program. It's grant money available for Union County residents 60 or older or physically disabled whose owner-occupied 1 or 2 family homes are needing repairs due to Superstorm Sandy. Some of the repairs that are approved are furnace, hot water heater, water damage, roof, windows, mold remediation, electrical, tree removal, or refurbished major appliances. I have these applications. If anybody needs one, they can contact me at 908-862-6265, and I'd be happy to mail them an application. Also, I got another grant here. It's the Community Health Law Project, and what this is, due to the ongoing issues that victims of Superstorm Sandy continue to experience, Community Health Law Project has received a contract from the New Jersey Department of Human Services to work with residents affected by the storm who are living in the counties. Union County is one of them. The Community Health Law Project is a not-for-profit agency that will use this funding to provide legal assistance. This may include, but not limited to, credit card issues, landlord-tenant, consumer or health issues, and an area of civil litigations. And also, if anybody wants an application for this, they can reach me at 862-6265. From the landfill in Hawkrise, the landfill, we're still working on the remediation. We haven't heard from PSE&G about the solar farm yet. We're still waiting to hear from them. At the Hawkrise, I'd like to thank the following corporations who contributed to the benches there so far, and they would be the Linden Industrial Association, the Linden Chamber of Commerce, Cox Printing, Phillips 66, and the Kiwanis Club of Linden. They all donated benches for the Hawkrise Sanctuary. Also at the Hawkrise Sanctuary, if anybody's interested, this Thursday, March the 20th, at 5:45, there's going to be a Hawkrise sunset hike. This is going to be led by project coordinator Kelly Wenzel, and the sunset hike celebrates the coming of spring and wildlife migration. Low tide and a near full moon provide great conditions for sighting, migrating shore, and songbirds. It's going to be a really nice hike, and if anyone wants to attend, that's going to be Thursday night at 5:45. Like Bob was saying, with the Clean Community Programs, I also have positions available. So if you want to contact me at 862-6265 with the name and address and everything, and I would forward that. And just to let you know what this is all about, it's the summer program where the kids clean up and this and that, and they will work approximately 5 hours per week at the rate of $8.25 per hour. All students must be 15 years old as of April 1st. They will work until the funds are exhausted. We estimate that to be, between 5 and 7 weeks. Also, I would like the 7th Ward residents, if you see any abandoned properties or bank-owned properties that aren't being properly maintained, can you please contact me? I'm trying to get a list of all these properties so we can give it to the health department and they can take care of this problem. From the Shady Tree Commission, if anyone would like a tree, please contact me, 908-862-6265, before the end of May, so we can put your application in for a tree. This year, it's going to be a limited planting due to the rise of the cost of the trees, and there's limited trees out there. There's a shortage of trees. So if you want a tree, please get it to me as quick as possible. Now, some of the issues we're facing in the 7th Ward, I'm getting many calls about the truck traffic on Tremley Point Road. I'm working with our traffic department to get more signage out there and maybe get a district car to come around a little bit more often, so hopefully we're going to see that flashing sign. I don't know if it's going to stop these guys because they don't obey the signs anyway. What happens is they put Tremley Point Road on their GPS, and it brings them right down there, and there's a light traffic street, and they don't care. So we're going to try to police that a little better. Also, a dying issue is shopping carts. Right, Art? You know all about that. So we're trying to work with our stores, maybe to get them all to do like ShopRite did with the quarter or some kind of braking mechanism, and also trying to police them and change the ordinance. What else did I got here? know what? I'll save some of this for the next one. I talked enough already. And again, if anyone wants to contact me, they can contact me at mminarchenko@linden-newjersey.org or call me at 908-862-6265. That concludes my report, Council President.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman Yamakaitis.
Thank you, Mr. President. From the Board of Health. On tonight's agenda, there is an ordinance for the introduction for the registration of abandoned residential properties. Our Board of Health will be compiling a list of these properties, and I've asked council to help in their wards of helping compile a list so we make sure it's accurate. Many of these have been abandoned for many years. They're not being maintained, and through this ordinance, we'll be proactive to hold banks, lien holders, et cetera, responsible for the maintenance and security aspects of the premises. I know many times I get calls, oh, this house, the doors are open, and our Board of Health has to go through a whole process of tracking down the banks to secure the premises. So we're going to be very proactive on this, and this will also include to make sure the grass is cut and snow is removed promptly. So I urge council to support this ordinance for introduction. From our fire committee, the Fire Prevention Bureau collected a total of $2,872.25 for the month of February 2014. As many of my colleagues on council have mentioned, the water companies in the wards presently, they're working on Essex Avenue and Allen Street in the 8th Ward. And, as Councilwoman Cosby Hurling had mentioned, it is a pretty messy situation, and I just would like to reiterate, we're going to make sure that the place is left in the way it was found. Last year, we had Fay Avenue done, and we had some issues with grass being torn up, and I'd like to commend our engineering department. They made sure they went back and fixed up grass that was ripped up and everything. So I want to assure the residents will follow through on that again this year. Okay, I also received an update from our engineering department on the Park Plastics Factory located on South Park Avenue. There is still some further testing that needs to be done, and we should know the results by mid-April. I will keep you informed on this. I'd like to thank our Public Works Department for the great cleanup job they did on the property there last Friday along the Battle Place area. After the hard winter, it was basically looking like a garbage dump when the snow melted. It was horrible. So it was a tough job, but they did, despite the eyesore there, they cleaned up the property like there wasn't even a piece of paper left there. So I'd like to commend them for a job well done. And I'd just like to ask, if anybody sees anybody dumping on these property, any place, we have a couple of areas in the city where they seem to be, hot spots for dumping grounds. If you see something, please try to get a license plate. Call the police department, call your council person. It's something that needs to really be worked on. And it's something I would like to really pursue further, maybe through cameras or something. So again, please, if you see something, report it. As many of my colleagues have mentioned, if you'd like to have a tree planted in front of your house, please let us know. I have a list. They did not complete last year's list, so I will make sure that anybody that did not receive a tree that requested it will be getting it this year. They were supposed to have what I had been told was a November, December planting, and it never happened, and so I will follow through on that. And also, as Mr. Sadowski had mentioned, they finally will be getting into the 6th Ward with trees, so we look forward to them coming down this end of the dais to get our trees done. So if anybody needs a tree done, if I have a lengthy list as well, but please, if you have not reached out to me, please let me know. We will be having our annual 8th Ward Egg Hunt on Saturday, April 12th at 11 a.m. sharp at the Milkowski Park on Battle Place. Our rain date will be on Saturday, April 19th. And I, too, would also like to congratulate the Linden High School boys basketball team on a great performance and a great job well done. We wish them the best in their future games. And I would also like to take the time to congratulate the cast and crew of the Linden High School production of How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying for their outstanding performance this past weekend. Mr. Cosby, Mr. Spano, you did a wonderful job with those kids. And we have a few board members sitting here tonight. I would just like to ask that you continue to support the arts program at Linden High School. I mean, if you went to, Mrs. Hudak, I saw you, Archie, I didn't see you, but I don't know if you were there or not, but if you saw the fruits of your success, they started a program in middle school, I'd say about 10 years back, where they started doing plays there. They started the kids out there young in their productions, and as you could see, these kids were almost like Broadway performers. So once again, I ask you, please keep supporting the arts, and there's concerts coming up, so please check the website. These kids are wonderful. So also, Clean Communities positions, if anybody is interested from the 8th Ward, please give me a call. My number is 908-925-2309. That concludes my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Medina.
Yes, thank you, Council President. I do have a Personnel Committee report. Believe it or not, it's actually short. We only have 4 items on the agenda, on the report here, so I'll make this real brief. Number 1, in the Police Department, the hiring of Conrad, I'm sorry, I don't want to butcher his last name here, Blajowicz, I apologize, a Linden resident as Clerk 1 at the annual salary of $34,548, subject to the city's pre-employment requirements, effective March 31st, 2014. Number 2, in the Law Department, effective March 3rd, 2014, the permission to allow a volunteer student intern, Leonard V. Jones, to perform duties for 210 hours as assigned by the city attorney or his designee. Number 3, from the Division of Personnel, the approval of policy regarding time off on emergency closing of City Hall. And number 4, the approval of FMLA/NJFLA leaves for the following personnel. From Division of Personnel, FMLA, employee 6134, intermittent, FMLA 1/1/2014 through 12/31/2014, employee 179, FMLA 1/14/2014 through 2/2/14, employee 91153, FMLA 2/26/14 through 3/26/14, employee 734, FMLA 2/19/14 through 4/18/14, employee 858, FMLA 1/3/14 through 2/2/14, and employee 1021, FMLA 2/10/14 through 3/23/14. I seek the approval and seek a second.
Second.
Mr. Colbus?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Minichinko?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes on all with the exception of number 3. I'm voting no.
Medina?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
All right. First, I want to congratulate the honorees and also congratulate the Linden basketball team and also the theater club as well. I know Councilwoman Jemakaitis kind of touched on that. I was there on Saturday with my wife, and I was blown away. I was actually talking about it the next day. No exaggeration, I thought I was in New York City on a Broadway show. That's how good it was. And you know what? I would trade in any Redbox movie to go catch another play like that. It was just an amazing evening. I encourage everyone to really go out there and really support the Linden High School Theater, arts group there and their plays, and also even McManus as well. They have a couple plays as well. Definitely go out there. It's better than catching a DVD or a movie, in my opinion. For the 9th Ward, the 9th Ward has had a rough couple of weeks with cars being vandalized and wheels being removed of cars. The police department is taking this very seriously and have enacted a plan to combat the problem. The vandalism seems to be occurring during the hours of 2 and 5 a.m. Please try to have either a porch light on or some type of outdoor lighting, and be vigilant of your surrounding. If you see anything suspicious or any individual in the neighborhood, please reach out to our non-emergency number for the police department, 908-474-8500. I'm also sad to report that we lost a life of a long resident of Linden. Mr. Clark was struck by a vehicle on Northwood Avenue on Thursday around 4 o'clock, and unfortunately he passed away due to his injuries. So my condolences go out to the Clark family and my prayers. My condolences also go out to the Gomez family. This young man was a Marine, and a positive example for his community. So definitely try to keep these families in their prayers, and unfortunately it's involving motor vehicles. With regard to the speeding problem on DeWitt Terrace and Orchard Terrace, our traffic bureau has found a solution that would address this issue. The solution is a 30-inch wide speed hump, which is basically called speed control. These speed humps will be strategically placed around the schools and parks. This will maintain a safe speed on these roads so that these children and residents are safer while utilizing the road. The cost for each speed hump is roughly $4,500 each, which is a small price to pay for public safety. If I am successful with the help of council in getting these implemented, this will be a positive change to the 9th Ward and possibly other wards in the city. I will be also coordinating a community meeting with residents that live along DeWitt and Orchard to discuss this topic and get their feedbacks as well. Also, we'll be having a community meeting at the Linden Presbyterian Church on Orchard Terrace, Monday the 24th at 6:30 p.m. to discuss recent activities within the ward. Also, our police chief will be hopefully joining us that Monday evening, or not, I will ask the mayor if he has time available to answer any questions in reference to the recent activities in the 9th Ward. Comes to trees and sidewalk, I will be putting on my newsletter in April, but if you have any concerns, please reach out to me, 908-986-6100. I was lucky enough that I think 90% of the sidewalk list was done in 2013, so I kind of just walked into some good luck there. So hopefully we can get the remaining done this year. And again, if you want a tree, give me a call. I do have some on the list, but we'd love to add more to the list if you do want a tree. And lastly, a lot of my friends and constituents know the good news, but you know, my wife and I have been blessed. We're excited that we're starting a family in Linden. My wife is due May 17th, and we are expecting a baby boy, and we're going to name him Daniel. So we're really excited to bring in another resident into Linden. We're excited to start this new adventure and continue our life here in Linden, because we believe in Linden, and Linden is definitely heading in the right direction. With that being said, this concludes my report, Council President.
Thank you, Councilman. Moving to the mayor's report, Mayor Gabunka.
Thank you, Council President. I'm going to be brief as the hour is getting late, and we still got a lot of city business to do. As was mentioned with the old General Motors property by 6th Ward Councilman, what's happening there, if you look on the back by Linden Avenue, there's being put up, the steel's being put up for a 500,000 square foot warehouse. There's no tenants right now. Duke Realty, which owns the property, is building it on speculation, but feels very confident that when they build it, the warehouse people will come. And that should be done in the fall, completed in the fall. We're also talking to Duke as the Duke lawyers are considering strategy in regards to another planning board approval they need for Super Walmart. And of course their concern is that they don't want to leave any legal loopholes open so that ShopRite could sue us again for some type of improper process in front of the planning board. Everybody realizes that twice ShopRite has sued us for improper planning board process, and each time we went to the Supreme Court and won. So again, we got to be very careful to not leave open any legal loopholes. And consistent with ShopRite's policy of harassing the city of Linden and injuring taxpayers, everyone knows that Wawa had site plan approval from the planning board to build between Pleasant Street and the railroad trestle fronting 1 and 9. And what happened was, lo and behold, ShopRite sued again on the process for the planning board. Our attorney and Duke attorneys discussed it, and what they're suing us on is the fact that they claim we didn't give proper notification to the residents, which encompass 200 feet of where Wawa is going to build, so that they could be at the planning board. We did give notice, but we didn't give the entire notice or ordinance to the people. We gave a short version of it. All the attorneys still feel that that is appropriate and legal, but that's where ShopRite hung their hat on in regards to suing us again. So rather than go through a lawsuit, even though we're going to be successful in the appellate division, and we're sure that ShopRite will sue us to the Supreme Court, instead we're going to have a do-over. And we're going to give them their due of giving the entire ordinance and re-notifying everybody so that we knock out that initial lawsuit, and it would be far quicker than going through the legal process. And lastly, I'd just like to mention that I totally disagree with this governing body in regards to going to court for the council president. It cost us $22,000. We had to pay for an attorney's fees to represent council, and we had to pay for attorney fees to represent the council president position. And now I'm hearing talk that there may be an appeal, and I think that would be silly and foolish because, again, we're going to have to be paying more money on both attorneys to represent something that the judge already ruled on is being perfectly legal, because it's been occurring for the last 40 years, and this gives the public the right to decide on a council president, not a group of 10 council persons. End of report.
Thank you, Mayor. We'll move into resolutions, 2014-129 through 2014-155. Public comments will be permitted on specific resolutions to be removed from the consent approval. Please read the synopsis of the resolutions, which have been prepared by the city clerk's office. Each is informative and self-explanatory. However, if you wish to address a specific resolution, the council will entertain questions on it. Does anyone wish to move any resolutions 129 through 155 on my right? Pat Hero? 136? 138? 142? 143? 154? Thank you. Ms. Malik? 133? 139? 142? 146? 147? 149? 154? Okay. Am I on the center in the chamber? On my left, anyone wish to remove any, no? Seeing none, I ask for a motion on the remainder.
Council President, I make a motion we move resolutions 129 through 155, with the exceptions of resolutions 133, 136, 138, 139, 142, 143, 146, 147, 149, 154, and I seek a second.
Second.
Mr. Kalbus?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Medichinko?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes, but I abstain on 136, Mr. Clerk. Ms. Malik on 133?
Can someone just explain what is this and what is this for, the Municipal Alliance Grant?
I could answer that, Council.
Thank you, Mayor.
This is a grant every year the city gets. It comes through Union County. It's based on a couple of dollars that every individual who's convicted of alcohol or a drug offense has to pay as part of their fine, and it goes towards alcohol and drug education, and there's certain programs that the Municipal Alliance approves to spend the money, one of the main ones being Project Graduation, which keeps Linden High School kids out of drug and alcohol issues upon graduation night. And there's other programs that are entered into the school by our juvenile officer, plus some professionals also deal with types of alcohol and drug type programs in the school.
Okay, thank you.
Council President?
Councilman Brown, have a comment?
I'm glad you brought this up, Ms. Malik, because I was going to actually bring this up, because we talked about this in the back end. While I support the program, I'm not supporting this resolution because the intent of this program is to help prevent and address drug and alcohol within the families and youth within Linden. However, when I look over some of the expenses, I have a problem with the way money's being spent in this program, how they're being spent, and programs that were cut. I mentioned this morning, and just to educate you, some programs that we used to have that were cut. One is called Life Changers. That was a program that we used to support where approximately 60 hours would be spent for the prevention and education of drug use within our youth, and it was geared towards an outreach program for at-risk youth and their parents. That program was cut, so there's no funding for that program. There was also another program that we used to have called Prevention. It was a prevention program, prevention diversion program, where it was targeting antisocial behavior, late childhood, early adolescent, and this was targeted towards middle school children, where they would go into the middle school. The program was providing prevention by the police officers, impacting approximately 400 students who are considered at risk in terms of first substance abuse coupled with violent behavior. That program was cut, which used to be funded. There was another program called Strengthening Families, where basically this was geared towards parenting and family strengthening program for high-risk families and youth. The program is found to significantly reduce problem behaviors, delinquency, alcohol and drug use in children, and improve social behavior and school performance. That program was cut. It no longer is in Linden. Parental Support Group. This program was for parents of children identified as at-risk children. The parenting and sessions are designed to increase awareness of this special group of parents as to how to cope with issues related to drug, tobacco, and other drugs. That program was cut. So I just saw a pattern where programs were being cut, and instead, while they receive the same funding year after year, instead, I have a problem with over $18,000 being spent on food. And basically, this program shifted over to Councilwoman Cosby's ward, where there's a program where kids through the age of 5th grade to 12th grade would go and play basketball and be fed. My opinion is that that's not real effective, because I don't believe kids that are in 5th grade should be up till 1 o'clock in the morning, which this program runs towards. I think we need to seriously look at this, how money's being spent, and reinstitute some of these programs. You know, I have children who go to school, and I would want them to have access to these same programs. I'm not gonna have them stay up late at night to learn how to be exposed to these programs. Some of these funds used to be used for DARE programs. DARE programs I think many of us had in school. We no longer have a DARE program in my school systems, and I'm not sure if parents are aware of that. So while I support the intentions of this grant, I do not support how the money is being spent, and I disagree with the programs that were cut.
Council President, can I respond, please?
Mr. Mayor, please.
I think Third Ward Councilman Brown is giving a lot of misinformation. Number one, the Municipal Alliance meets quarterly. It's open to the public. It's open to Councilman Brown, who's never been at one of the Municipal Alliance meetings. These certain programs were cut by Union County because they did not like the way the program was being instituted from private sector people. There is the ability for anybody to attend a meeting and deal with the Municipal Alliance and make recommendations as to what programs they feel appropriate and what programs they do not feel appropriate. What program he's mentioning about with feeding some of our youth is our Masterpiece program, which is every Friday and Saturday night to keep the young men and women off the streets. We keep open our multi-purpose center. The multi-purpose center gives them activities to do, such as basketball, and they're also taught about the bad use of drugs and alcohol. Again, this is a program that's successful. Maybe Mr. Brown doesn't like everything he sees in the program, but he's welcome to come and give his input at the quarterly meetings. Again, Project Graduation has been a tremendous success. It keeps our kids off the street after graduation night, and I think for him to just make irrational statements like he made is totally misleading the public. It's run by a police officer, Lieutenant Aslan, and also Dolores Hines. They do a tremendous job. Again, there's volunteers that stay up in the multi-purpose center till 1 o'clock in the morning. They do not get paid for being there, and a kid in 5th grade doesn't stay till 1 o'clock in the morning. There's certain time schedules based on age. So again, I think it's very misleading what the councilman is saying. End of report.
Council President?
Councilman Brown, you want to conclude?
Thank you. No, I disagree with the mayor. The mayor may be misinformed because, as I explained it back, I did meet with Captain Aslan, who is in charge of this program for a number of different years. I've done research. I've talked to the county and met with our treasurer's office, off which everything I'm reading off of is the application. While the mayor mentions the county cut these programs, he's actually wrong. And if he could show me the documentation, I would gladly see that and have him read it at the next council meeting, because some of these programs are being used in other towns. So that's to clarify that. The second issue is years ago when we had a DARE program, and I have invoices to show or support that, and I actually looked in research, is that instead of buying food, what they were doing was going inside the schools, and just like I said, many of us, when we went to the DARE program, they would promote that program, whether it's through stickers, coloring books, other promotional material. That material we don't use anymore. If you go into September to Remember, you see the fire department used to have some type of promotional material. The police department doesn't. Years ago they used to, and they used to use the grant money to promote DARE and to promote some of the ideas behind this. The mayor mentioned that people volunteer and they do this for free. Well, inside the grant application himself, the mayor is again wrong, where you have some people getting paid hourly, $150 an hour, $120 an hour. Another person, I believe, is $17 an hour. That's not misleading, that's factual with the grant application. So all I simply asked was tonight was to table this so that we can look into this. Well, yes, we all can go to this meeting that is open to the public. This, to me, is something that's been going on for a while that I've had mentioned over and over again. I've spoke to various people about this. Now, the mayor mentions that it has worked. Please, Mayor, show me the data that says that children have decreased in the use of drug and alcohol throughout the city. As last time I checked, statistics have shown that crime has risen in Linden, as mentioned by the councilman in the 9th Ward, the problems he's having in his area. And the police chief can attest to this, that crime has risen in Linden, as well as drug use. And you can see this, everyone can see it on our the Star Ledger. How many times are people being arrested in Linden for drug use? So I question the effectiveness of this program. And unless you have statistical data to support this, I think this is something that should be looked at.
Councilman Brown, in caucus, you did bring up the question whether or not to table it, and the consensus of the majority of the council said to leave it on the agenda. We would vote on it individually.
Yes.
Councilman Armstead.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Let me just say this. There's no such thing as a perfect program. You know, these programs are designed to try to assist anywhere possible. I feel that targeting a program such as the Masterpiece program, which occurs on Friday and Saturday night, is not correct. We house a number of children in that program, and keeping them off the street, to me, is success. I don't care whether it's a Masterpiece program, whether it's a football program or a soccer program, whatever program it is, and you have children and you house them in one location, you know where they're at. You have them at your disposal. Now, the whole issue of food comes into play here. And, hey, let's face it, you know, one way to keep children at a location is you buy them a little pizza, maybe buy them some hot dogs. You know, you have to have something to keep these children's attention, and to me, it's a good thing. And fact of the matter is, some of the children who go to that program, you know, they need to be there. Some of them come from households that aren't exactly stable and don't have, you know, a lot of income. And I've been there a few times, and when you see a kid who comes and gets 2 hot dogs and he comes back, he's looking for 2 more, and Friday night and Saturday night, he's considering that dinner. You know, I think the program may be a success. Okay, and I'm not saying that all the kids who come there are in this particular situation, but I'm saying this particular program is a good program. It's needed. You house these children at one location. You have them there. You know they're not out committing crime or doing any type of committing some sort of juvenile delinquency. So it's a good thing. Now, do we want to evaluate the program and the money? Sure, let's evaluate it. But I say this: let's move it forward. Okay, the mayor has indicated that this group meets on a regular basis. I would encourage any council member who feels that that we're not appropriating the dollars properly to attend this meeting, so that you can have some input. And this way, we can sit down with those people who are providing us this money, and we can get the facts, and we can present it to this governing body. You know, as we can hear it right from the horse's mouth. And that concludes my statements.
Councilman Brown, you have any new information you'd like to add?
Yeah, I just find it odd that the mayor and Councilman Armstead are talking about a particular program. I'm talking about the lack of programs that were cut. I think we're talking about 2 different things. I'm talking about...
Yes, you have indicated that before. Do you have any new information you could provide?
With that being said, I'm talking about programs that were cut that address drug and alcohol, which was the intent of this grant, as opposed to what you're talking about is funding a program that feeds kids and where we're keeping kids. I want to hear how we are teaching kids how we are preventing kids from doing drugs and alcohol, which again is the intent of the grant. I'm talking about programs that were funded, that are cut, yet are still being used in other towns. So I think we're talking about 2 different things, whereas you keep mentioning a program, I'm mentioning programs that were cut, and the intent of the grant that I feel I don't see is being used. Why are we not
Mr.
going
Brown,
into
is very
our
similar
schools?
to the comments made before. I have people in the audience wish to make comments. Pat Hero? Three minutes, please.
Sure. I think that the program on Friday nights, I believe it is, am I correct?
Friday and Saturday.
Friday and Saturday nights are a good thing for our children. First of all, if you're going to be playing basketball at that level and participating in that sport, you're going to get hungry. You're going to need to eat. And I think that's a good thing that we provide food for the children. As far as the DARE program is concerned, yes, it's important for our children to stay off drugs and alcohol so they can see the future more brightly. But in reality, I've understood that some of the DARE programs aren't necessarily that effective in getting children to stay off drugs and alcohol. So I think that we should, you know, of course, every time we have a program, we should evaluate it. We could see what we can do better, you know, each year and how to improve the program and stuff and see if the kids are really benefiting. And that's a good thing for any program one's involved in. One always needs like a yearly evaluation because we're always seeking to improve, I think, in any area of our lives, or we should be seeking to improve. But I think this is a good thing, and I think we should go for this Municipal Alliance grant. Also, if you want to keep kids off alcohol and drugs, what better way to do it than in a group activity where they're not running the streets, where they're not associating with bad individuals that they may find on the streets and getting into all sorts of trouble. We know where they are. They're guided by good people. They're good role models who show that people care about them. What better way is there to live a life and volunteer and do good for the community? Thank you.
Thank you. Judy McCarthy, you wish to make a statement on this?
Yes, I do.
Please. 3 minutes.
Yeah, I'll keep it short. I really think the intent here, though, needs to be considered. I mean, when it comes down to it, if those programs that were cut which we're talking about the people that are most at risk. I'm not saying that the other program wasn't good, but I'm just saying when you have limited funds, you have to allocate them to those areas that are going to affect those people that are at greatest risk. And considering, I mean, I don't know how valid those numbers are that you were reading, but considering that some of those sums that people are being paid for this program that, in my listening, makes me believe are not those at greatest risk, then I'd like you guys to consider that when you decide, if you do go for this, to reevaluate things based on those people that are at greatest risk. Because there is only a finite amount of money. And if you put that money to people that, okay, yes, it's a nice way to keep them off the streets, that's great, but if you're talking about somebody who's dealing with a child who's mixed up in drugs and they're trying to cope and then there's this counseling available to them, you're talking about a whole different level of action against or towards a better cause. And I'd like you to consider that.
Council President, can I make one?
Thank you. From the audience, Ms. Williams, please. Three minutes, please.
Thank you. I just basically had a question about some of the things that Councilman Brown had mentioned. The first thing I would ask if I can please have a copy of what you were referring to, because I'd like to see that. The other thing I wanted to ask, some of the programs that you mentioned, I wanted to hear from you, being that you have the statistical reports. Who cut those programs and why? Because I know, if I'm not mistaken, I do remember something about the DARE program, and I don't know if it was the county or not, but I think I remember city council voting to eliminate that. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but if you can tell me who cut those programs and why.
From what I understand, if the mayor, this is more of a question for you about the DARE program. From what my research and what I asked people, and the mayor, I could be wrong, is that we had a DARE program under Sal Bavona, and from what I understand, Miliano's the one that instituted it, Sal carried it on, but, or I'm sorry, Sal didn't carry it on. Under Miliano, we had it, but then there was a disagreement as far as with the mayor that he felt DARE wasn't effective and he wanted that program. Now, mayor, I could be wrong, but again, that wasn't from the county.
You're wrong, as usual.
May
You like to pretend
So,
that you
can
know
you
what
answer
you're
why the DARE
talking
program
about.
was cut?
You like to pretend like you know what you're talking about.
But, man, that's why I said, if I'm wrong, that's
Excuse
why
me,
You-
gentlemen, excuse me. Just for,
Why don't you call for the vote, Council President? That
Mr.
DARE
Mayor, please, I have a comment. I spent
If you
34
want,
years in the criminal
I can
justice
research when it
system.
was cut and why it was
Mr.
cut.
Brown.
For-
I have the floor,
Sorry.
thank you. I spent 34 years in the criminal justice system, familiar with the DARE program. The reports that I've had, the DARE program didn't work. It doesn't apply maybe to tonight, but I have to tell you that. It's not the most efficient program in the world.
Council President, with all due respect, it worked for me. I'm not on any drugs, and I remember the DARE program.
Overall, it was not a great program. I ran a program that we came into Linden called the Crack Busters. We went to the 2 junior high schools with the inmates from Passaic County Jail.
Well, Council President, did you have a DARE program?
No, I didn't run the DARE program from
No,
my research.
Did you have DARE program while you were in school?
No. Councilman Armstead. Yeah.
I just wanted to.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jay.
I
I
stopped
just
the
wanted to
clock
mention,
for you.
talk about some of the programs that we talked about that were cut. And what I'd like to mention is that many of those programs that he discussed earlier are being actually provided in some form or fashion by Union County. We have youth services right here in Linden, and they address many of the concerns when you have family issues and at-risk families. Union County Youth Services provides very similar services. So this, is, I think, has a lot to do with when they allocate this money for various programs in Linden, how they allocate it. So.
Okay, so for Mr. Brown, is this you mentioned that you were going to vote against it. Are you planning to vote against it because you don't agree with the city accepting these funds, or you just think that they should be reallocated?
What happens is that the city accepts funds and then we do a matching grant on top of this. And so they give it as a grant, a total. What we then do is that the committee or whoever's involved in this decides how that money's going to be divvied up. I disagree with how they're divvying it up. The grant money we still receive, is a matter of how they divide it. That's up to when they do, and I'm pretty sure this is probably in the clerk's office as well. Every year they have to do an application, and they have to say, we're going to spend X amount of money on this program, X amount of money in this program. So that for years they've been getting the same lump sum, and the city has been matching in cash and in kind contributions the same amount. They just seem like they're shifting over to different programs, which I feel they should be addressing the at-risk kids.
Okay, before I take, do I have time?
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Yes.
Before I take my seat, I just wanted to make one comment about one of the programs that was mentioned up here tonight, and that is the Masterpiece Program. I don't really understand why some of the council people have an issue with this program. I know what some of the initial concerns were and the reasons behind it, but since this initiative has begun, I will say that I, for one, have seen the difference in my neighborhood with this program being instated, and it has kept the kids off the street. And I know that Reverend Donaldson, who runs it, has had people come in and speak to these kids. And oftentimes, I'm not sure how correct those numbers are about the people's salary, but from what I see, and I do go in there, not as often as some of the people who volunteer every week, but at least a couple times out of the year, I make it my business to go in there. And I see what's going on, and I see the gang members that are being brought in from off the streets who are being given, recreational activities to do other things to keep them occupied rather than being out in the street selling drugs or shooting up people or committing
15
crimes.
seconds.
Okay. It does work, it has worked, and I hope that the city council does not disband this program because it is a good program. The crime in my neighborhood has been reduced. I don't know, I think the mayor is right when he says that the fifth graders that you mentioned that are out till 1 o'clock in the morning, there are set hours for different age groups, and they do not stay at that time of night. If there is a problem, it's a parental problem, and I think that the city, for one, should probably reconsider having a curfew to address that issue with the kids out, but it does work. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sharpie, will you take your hat off, please? Thank you. Motion on the motion, please.
Thank you. I make a motion, we move Resolution 2014-133, and I seek a second.
Second.
Mr. Colbus?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Brown?
No.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Minichinko?
Yes.
Yamakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Before I vote, I say 70% of our crime is from outsider. So just keep that in mind when you say crime has gone up. When you look at the Star Ledger, it's either Roselle, New Yorkers, Elizabeth, Irvington, North. So I think we're doing pretty well in our police department as well. So that's a yes. Thank you.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. Moving to 136, Pat Hero. Three minutes, please.
Okay. This says, due to the ongoing nature of the services in this matter, there is a need for additional funds not to exceed $2,500 for legal services. Now, does that mean if we appeal? Or does this mean even if we don't appeal, there's a need for additional legal services?
This is bills to date.
Bills to date, okay. Because it's my opinion that we should not appeal this decision. Judge Karen Cassidy is a very wise jurist. I've been most impressed by her decisions that have come into the public realm, and she's very, very smart, and I think this should stop here. We've been electing, as she said, council presidents for a really long time now, and there's no reason why not to continue this practice. Thank you for your time.
Motion, please.
Mr. President, I ask that we move Resolution 2014-136 and ask for second.
Second.
Mr. Colbus?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Minichinko?
Yes.
Yamakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
I abstain. We'll move into 138, Pat Hero.
due to some recent incidents at my home, I've become very, very interested in boilers. Is this a steam boiler? Is this a gas boiler? What kind of a boiler is this?
Mr. Verchik? Mr. Vendetta?
It's a gas boiler.
It is a gas boiler. Is it like a hot water boiler? Is it a steam boiler? What type of boiler?
Hot water.
Okay, it's a hot water boiler. Okay, so my friend Dan Hallahan, I wonder if he would know about this. I just read a whole book on steam heating. It just seems so expensive, $100,320.10 for this item. Is this like the going rate? I mean, it just seems very, very expensive.
Council President, I think John Vendetta will be.
Wait. Mr. Vendetta has the floor. All right.
The 100,000 includes the original installation. It's not this change order.
Okay, but I mean, it includes the, still, I know it's my home, okay, but when I thought I might have to replace my boiler, it was $6,000. Now, even if we're talking about a big building, maybe $25,000, $50,000, but this is $100,000?
Council President.
Can someone explain to me how we get to $100,000?
Council President, can you have Public Works explain? I know John's been working on this.
Council President, before John actually hits the mic, I just...
Whoa, excuse me.
Okay.
Mr. Vendetta. And then we'll get to you, Mr. Medina.
It's a 3.3 million BTU boiler, okay?
John, can you speak in the mic?
Yeah. What it is the actual cost of the boiler was under that, was around 86 or 84, I'm not sure. What it is that through the process, a pump, because the building had been dormant for so long, a pump that no one knew about had seized. It was only a 2-year-old pump, which was the pump that was put on in 2011. That did not work. It needed to be replaced.
So was it under warranty or anything?
No, not, Sandy voided all warranties.
Okay.
And then the rest of this project, the system had to be cleaned because the system hadn't moved in 2 years. Well, not 2 years, 15 months, excuse me. So that is the cost for the pump, and then to have another part of the system engineered to connect it with the back part of the building was the rest of the what brought it up to $100,000. The original cost was $85,000 or $86. Okay.
Thank you.
Councilman Medina, you'd like to add anything?
Yes,
to that?
Council President. I think a lot of these questions could be avoided. This is actually insurance money that was received in 2013 for Sandy. John said the key word was Sandy. There's actually this boiler, which I went down to see. It's actually the size of my house. So when you compare apples and oranges, and also you have to consider this was the $500,000 or close to $500,000 that was received to fix the building and replace these items that were damaged. And I think the verbiage needs to be a little more detailed in some of these resolutions, and that could eliminate a lot of concerns. So, thank you.
Motion, please.
Can I just say one thing?
You want to conclude again?
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to say, even if it's a grant money and Sandy money and everything like that, I think we should always make sure every penny is spent very wisely. Thank you.
I agree. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Motion.
Make a motion, we approve Resolution 2014-138. I seek a second, please.
Second.
Mr. Colbus?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Crosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Minichinko?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. Ms. Malik on 139, please.
139.
Is this a new position and a paid position for the Reverend, for the chaplain?
Chief Rizzo?
No, it's not. It's an honorary position.
Okay, thank you.
We have a motion, please.
Yes, Mr. President. I make a motion, we approve Resolution 2014-139, and I seek a second.
Second.
Mr. Colbus?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Crosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Medichenko?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. 142, Ms. Malik, you're pretty close. Come on up.
What happens after the first year? Does the city then take over handling the hosting? And can we expect ongoing costs to support this website? And what is the type of cost that we can expect?
Council President.
Mr. Brown has the floor, and then I'll get to you.
Go ahead. I'll let you answer. I'm the chairman of the technology committee, but you can answer. Okay. It's real quick. We actually get money from, trust money from Comcast. I think roughly, Councilman Brown, please correct me if I'm wrong, it's like close to $80,000, a little bit more. The numbers you see there, they don't go up a penny or they don't go down a penny. That's what it is. The numbers from Alpha Dog is to redo our website, manage all of our media content. It's unlimited, by the way. And the numbers you see there, they don't fluctuate. That's the number. That's what it is. And it's being paid to the Comcast, I don't know if it's a trust fund or grant money that we get through Comcast.
Franchise tax on cable TV.
Correct.
So there's no outlay from us. And then, so after this first year, are they going to be doing it again for next year, and it's all going to come from this Comcast trust?
Correct. Right now, everything is preliminary. We just have the resolution on here. We're going to hopefully finalize it next month. But these guys are going to do everything.
For the future to come also?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Thank you.
Council President?
Mr. Brown.
Yeah. And Ms. Malik, along with this, and Medina's the chairman of technology, you'll see that there's an ordinance on there for technology and communication where we can create a permanent a permanent committee, because we have an ad hoc.
Standing committee.
A standing committee, because the whole idea is when we're talking about a total revamp, and that way, this website is a two-way communication, because what we're finding out after Sandy, Irene, other things, is that there's not a lot of communication that's coming out to the public. We're hoping that by revamping this total website, which again, like the chairman mentioned, is not costing residents anything. It's coming out of a trust fund to revamp this website, is that we can get more input from the public and we'll be able to get information out more. So not only will this help address the website, but Facebook and other social media means to get information out to the public and get information in.
Also, we have Pat Hero wishes to speak on this.
Yes. Who is Alpha Dog, Inc.? Who's behind Alpha Dog, Inc.?
Actually, it is a private organization. They're out of Belleville, New Jersey. They do 25 municipality currently now. If you go to the Roselle website, you can get their contact information, or go to their website, alphadog.com, or you can just Google it. But they're a Belleville company. They're right here in New Jersey.
Okay, because there are a lot of, I find it strange to say extraordinary, unspecifiable services, because there are a lot of companies that do web hosting. I mean, I could mention one of them, and I will because I hear them regularly on the radio, although I don't know anything really about them, except that they advertise a lot. Hosting for cheap, for example. We're spending almost, granted it is Comcast money, but we should still treat it like it's taxpayer money, $2,995 per month. I mean, that is a lot of money. I don't know necessarily, maybe if we bid this out, we might be able to get maybe just as good service at a better price. That's all I'm saying. Thank you.
We did put it out for bid. They were the only one that responded. Also, with that money, the monthly fee there, they will come out and do photo shoots, city events. They will post it on the website. Again, they will handle all the media contents that we want them to upload at no additional charge, and it's unlimited. So I can literally send them 10 or 20 items a day, 30 days straight, and there's nothing additional to that cost.
Mr. Brown, can you add anything to that
Yes.
hasn't been?
Yes. Well, Ms. Hira, and I understand what you're saying as far as using money wisely, and you're looking at that number. But think of it this way too: is that one of the decisions why we went to them, just like the chairman mentioned, is unlimited content. They come out, they take pictures, we can upload stuff. That's one less person that we would have to hire, pay benefits for, pension, everything else. Where I'm not saying we're replacing somebody, but we're using this company to do the job of an individual that we would have to hire, pay health benefits and everything else. So in the long run, this is cheaper for us, and again, is not costing residents anything because it's coming out of trust. So we felt this was the best way to go.
Thank you. Motion, please.
Yes, Mr. President. I make a motion, we approve Resolution 2014-142, and I seek a second, please.
Second.
Mr. Kalbus?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Medichinko?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes, yes. We'll move into 143, Pat Hero.
I just have to take my hat off to Mrs. Copland and also the other two women, although I don't know them well enough to speak on them. But from their credentials, they seem very, very accomplished and wonderful people to have in Linden. But Mrs. Copland I've known for quite a long time. She's secretary for the planning board. She's been the president of the library board. She's been in the cultural committee. She's just a phenomenal woman, excellent in every way. She's just incredibly talented and so gifted. She's like a living legend in Linden, and we're very, very, very blessed to have her. And I just want to take my hat off, so to speak, to her. Thank you.
Thank you for your remarks. Motion, please.
Yes, Mr. President, I make a motion that we approve Resolution 2014-143, and I seek a second.
Second.
Mr. Kalbus?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Medichinko?
I'd just like to say I agree 100% with Mrs. Hero and, or Ms. Hero, and I vote yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. 146, Ms. Malik.
I want to combine 146 and 147. Can someone just explain this electronic tax sale process? What is it?
Yes.
Mr. President.
Stacy, would you come up, please? And could you speak into the microphone?
Last year was the first year that we had an online tax sale. Every year we're required by state statute to have a tax sale, and the state has authorized municipalities to do it online, like an eBay process, and it's a lot better that whole day. It's a lot of work up to the tax sale, but it makes the day, and it makes it much easier for the tax office every time we hold the tax sale. It's when there's delinquencies that are not paid by the taxpayers, we have to hold the tax. Mm-hmm, yeah. Yeah, last year was the first year, we were the fourth municipality in the state to do it.
Did that answer your question? Thank you. Motion, please.
Yes, Mr. President. I make a
So that'll
motion
be on
that
146 and 147.
Yes, sir. I make a motion that we approve Resolutions 2014-146 and 2014-147, and seek a second.
Second.
Mr. Kalbus?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Medichinko?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. 149, Ms. Malik.
Is this the first time for this equipment, or is it a replacement?
Chief Urza.
This is equipment that is from a grant, 100% grant for the fireboat. It's a night vision equipment.
All right, so it's no cost to us,
It's-
but have
it's-
we ever had
it's
this before?
It's brand-new equipment. It was
Okay.
additional equipment that was specified by the Coast Guard.
May I have a motion, please?
Yes, Mr. President. I make a motion we approve Resolution 2014-149, and I seek a second.
Second.
Mr. Kalbus?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Medichinko?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. Moving to 154, Pat Hero. 3 minutes, please.
Okay, I just want to say it's a resolution requesting the state legislature to conduct an investigation to the delays, problems, lack of maintenance, repair, and failure to undertake numerous capital improvements and related matters occurring in relation to the New Jersey Transit trains and the operations of New Jersey Transit. Why? Why are we getting involved in this?
Brown, you have an answer
Absolutely,
for that?
yes. Ms. Hero, I'm one of the, I think some of the other members travel to New York too. let's just say last week alone, you could be stuck in the you'll be stuck at the Linden train station for a couple of hours, then stuck on the train for another couple of hours. Long story short is that you have a lot of Linden residents that take New Jersey Transit, take the train, that's going to work. They're late a lot of times. I think even Ms. Williams, she takes the train. You know, coming home, you're stuck on the train for hours or late. I think it's time that the state, instead of doing Bridgegate, look into this. This is a quality of life issue. You know, they have the power to look at this, see what improvements needs to be done. We're talking about Linden. We're talking about people from out of town moving to Linden. Well, if we're known to have a problem with our train service, who's going to want to move here? We keep talking about Transit Village, but yet I think this year alone, up from January till I think last week, there was delays and cancellations of up to about 42. So anyone who rides the train, I guarantee you that they want the state to step in at some point to look at this, because it's a quality of life issue where, you know, you expect to get home at 6 o'clock, but instead of getting home at 9 o'clock, or you expect to be at work at 8 and you're getting to work at like 10:30, and it's an ongoing problem. I think this is the worst it's been in the last 18 years. Now, we have representatives that live in town here, Nick Scutari and Linda Stender, who represents us, who's on the Transportation Committee, and I've talked to them both saying, I need you guys, you know, we need your help to address this issue. You know, what is going on? Because it seems other parts of New Jersey do not have the same problems that we have here in Rahway, Linden, and Elizabeth. So simply asking them, hey, take a look into this, and hopefully other towns will join on board and say, hey, you know, look at this. This is a quality of life issue that affects our town directly.
Okay, thank
Ms.
you.
Hero, there was debate on it, and another point of view was it was overkill to do it, and because I don't believe we initially contacted the officials in Trenton on a more private, business-like approach, and there's two points of view on this. I do wish the trains run on time, but the way it's presented, I won't support it.
Okay, thank you.
And Ms. Malik? I ask for a motion, please.
Yes, Mr. President. I make a motion that we approve resolutions 2014-154, and I seek a second, please.
Second.
Mr. Kalbus?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Crosby Hurling?
Yes.
Zadowski?
Yes.
Medichenko?
Yes.
Yamakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
No. Okay. We're moving to ordinance on first reading. Ordinance number 5811.
An ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 2, Administration, Article 4, Departments Established, Section 2-13, Department of Fire, as follows. Amend 2-13.5B, Third-Party Payment Plan for Emergency Medical Services. Delete 2-13.5B, small e2 in its entirety, and add new Section 2-13.5B, small e2.
Anyone in the audience wishes to comment? Would you come up, please? Ms. Wilverding?
Diane Wilverding, Morris Avenue. Mr. Moore, am I allowed to ask a question at this point?
You can make a statement, and that's the purpose of this, so we can get input
So
from
the
the
next
public.
one they can answer, okay, well, I'll just kind of ask why I'm confused by this.
Well,
I understand, you know, when I call the police to come to my house, it's covered by my taxes, I don't pay for that. Same if the fire department has to come. I'm just so confused now that the ambulance is taken over by the fire department. Why, if you need that service, we're paying it, and $700. Yes, I know insurance covers it, but I just don't understand, because it seems like it should be part of now a city service since the fire department is taking it over. So that's what I'm confused about, and I guess the next hearing, someone can explain all that, but $700, to me, that's high.
Thank you. Mr. Sharpie, 3 minutes, please.
Well, if you guys start charging people money to save a life, oxygen, at $50 to save a human being's life, something wrong with you. The charge to keep a person alive, $50, to go back to her state, come on, people. Why did you have to make money on a human being, life? pretty sick.
Thank you for your comments. May I have a motion, please?
Mr. President, I move for introduction of ordinance 58-11 and request a second.
Second.
Mr. Colobus?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Minorchenko?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. 5812.
An ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 2 Administration, Article 3, Organization of Government. Section 2-7.2, Committees of the City Council shall be amended as follows. 2-7.2A, Standing Committees. There shall be the following Standing Committee of the City Council. Add number 14, Technology and Communications Committee.
Anyone in the chambers wish to make a statement? Seeing none, I ask for a motion.
Yes, Council President. I seek the introduction of ordinance 58-12. Seek a second.
Second.
Mr. Colobus?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Minorchenko?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. 5813.
An ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 7 Traffic, Section 7-7, Parking shall be amended as follows. Add Section 7-7.3C, Unoccupied vehicle, park or standing, not moved 48 hours after the snow has ceased.
Any comments from the members of the audience in the chamber? Motion, please.
Yes, yeah.
Mr. President, I move for an introduction, request a second.
Second.
Mr. Colobus?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Minorchenko?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. 5813.
5814, an ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 10, Building and Housing, Section 10-19, Abandoned Residential Property Registration.
Comments from the public, please? Motion, please.
Yes, Mr. President, I'd like to introduce this ordinance, and I seek a second.
Second.
Mr. Colobus?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Minorchenko?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. 5815, we're going to.
An ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 10, Building and Housing, Article 1, State Uniform Construction Code as follows. Amend fees.
Yes, Mr. President, I'd like to remove this ordinance for further discussion. And
Okay.
I'd like to
Second.
take a second.
Mr. Colobus?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Minorchenko?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. 5816, please.
An ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 17, Sewer and Water, Article 2, Water shall be amended as follows. Amend Section 17-14, Cross-Connection Control and Backflow Prevention.
Comments? Questions? Motion, please.
Mr. President, I move for introduction of ordinance 58-16 and request a second.
I'll second.
Mr. Colobus?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Minorchenko?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. 5818.
5817, an ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 7 Traffic, Section 7-33, Handicap Parking Regulations, 7-33.1A, Handicap Parking on Street. Add 621 East Curtis Street, 1 space. 1002 Chandler Avenue, 1 space. Delete 146 Cedar Avenue, 1 space. 133 Irene Street, 1 space. And 1506 Winans Avenue, 1 space.
Comments? Motion, please.
Move for introduction, request a second.
Second.
Mr. Colobus?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Minorchenko?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. 5818.
An ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 7 Traffic, Section 7-36 reserved as follows. Delete 7-36 reserved in its entirety and add new Section 7-36 Library Parking Lot.
Public comment? Motion, please.
Council President, I move for introduction and seek a second.
Mr. Colobus?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Minorchenko?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. 5819.
An ordinance to amend an ordinance entitled, an ordinance establishing a schedule of title, salary ranges, and regulations for maintaining the classification and salary standardization plan of all employees of the City of Linden, passed August 15, 1995, and approved August 16, 1995, that should read, add Schedule 4II2.
Comments? Motion, please.
Yes, Council President, I move the introduction of ordinance 58-19 and seek a second.
Second.
Mr. Colobus?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Minorchenko?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. 5820, please.
An ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 29, Land Development, Section 29-5.8, Schedule of Fees.
Comments from the public? Motion, please.
Adam's not here.
Adam's not here. All right.
Yes, Council President, I move for the introduction of 58-20 and seek a second.
Second.
Mr. Colobus?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Minorchenko?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. Moving to...
We have one more. We
I'm
have
sorry.
bond ordinance 5821. Bond ordinance authorizing the removal of underground storage tanks and remediation at 1901 Lower Road for the Public Properties Department, appropriating $220,000 and authorizing the issuance of $209,000 in bonds or notes to finance part of the cost.
Thank you. Comments? Motion, please, on
Coun-
5821.
Council President, I move for introduction and seek a second.
Second.
Mr. Colobus?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Minorchenko?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. Did everybody get a chance to sign the sign-in sheet if they wish to speak at the end of the meeting? And I'll ask Joe Bianco to come up, please.
The other page. You can't cut.
Five
I guess I'll
minutes,
make
sir.
it before my, 4:20, well, I'll make it before my curfew is, well, anyway. Good evening, Mayor, Council President, Council. I have resurfaced. My comments are, as always, submitted with all due respect and not intended to offend anyone's sensibilities. First, a couple of quotable quotes to ponder. From JFK, our 35th president. Let us not seek the Republican answer or the Democratic answer, but the right answer. Let us not seek to fix the blame for the past. Let us accept our own responsibility for the future. You heard the word responsibility. And let me remind you, with responsibility comes accountability. From LBJ, our 36th president, regarding doing the right thing. which I have made reference to you, the council, many times. Doing what's right isn't the problem. It's knowing the right thing. Moving on, item. The Star Ledger, March 16th, charting a new course for Linden, AKA changing the city charter. Who among you on the council have the personal responsibility of managing a multi-million-dollar corporation and have signed your name to the front of a check regarding that corporation? The city of Linden, as I have said in the past, should be managed similar to a corporation. The taxpayers are the shareholders and want their dollars managed prudently. How do we get the biggest return from our tax dollars? The answer: a certified municipal business administrator. When you have a toothache, do you call a plumber? And when you have a multi-million-dollar entity to manage, common sense dictates that you don't have a part-time committee in this important function. You have a qualified municipal business administrator. Common sense. Sometimes I get the feeling common sense is an endangered species. Some words regarding common sense that I like to repeat occasionally. It is better to have common sense without an education than to have an education without common sense. One more issue: third-party energy providers. I will just say one thing: let the buyer beware. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bianco. We missed you.
Council President?
I'd like to go on to the speakers. Pat Hero?
Council President?
What?
Just want to respond. Mr. Bianco, I'm not sure, does he, I just want to make it clear that we voted for business administrator and that.
Mr. Bianco, I sit on the committee for the business administrator for the mayor.
I don't think he's, hold on. I don't think he's listening.
Mr. Bianco, I sit on the committee for the business administrator that the council passed. The mayor's conducting a review to look for candidates. And there's 4 or 5 of us, John Miliano, John Langland, myself, mayor, and we meet and we're working on a business administrator to present to council.
Mr. Bianco, there was also 2 council people on there who voted for that.
We were removed.
Myself, Ed, but
Pat
he
Hero.
voted for them, yes.
Pat Hero, We Chief Road. First, I just want to say March Gladness. Linden High basketball Tigers win. And remember, and continue to remember as you progress, rebound, rebound, rebound. Okay, now to the serious portion of the program. You know, I just stand up here and tonight I'm feeling very sad. Part of me was doing this speech a little bit earlier and I was with my usual bravado and everything, you know, saying certain things. It's really not the tone I'm taking tonight. I'm very sad. You see, anytime there's a tragedy, it's sad. And you know, if you remember, I think going back to my English classes, whether college English or high school English, a tragedy is that there's a fault in a human being that brings about their downfall. And that's very, very sad when anybody has a flaw that brings about a downfall. And so I'm going to be talking tonight about Councilman Peter Brown, AKA Peter Alexander Brown, CRD number 506-9425.
Council President?
I just wanted to
Hold
say,
on. Council President?
I haven't finished.
Yeah, but Council President, with all due respect, we talked about this and
I haven't
talked
finished,
about
Mr. Brown. This is my time. You're not going to take it away
But,
from me.
Council President, this has nothing to do with city business. I'd like a legal opinion from the
This
city
is
attorney.
city business, Mr. Brown.
Ms. Hero,
I'm going
It's
to
a
make
legal
it city
matter,
business,
Ms.
Mr.
Hero.
Brown. You are defying my First Amendment rights, Mr. Brown.
But Ms. Hero, also...
And you
is
may
that
actually
this is
be
the first
surprised at what I have to say,
But
Mr. Brown. Mr. Brown, I might actually have something you might want to hear say.
Ms. Hero, what I'm asking for is for a legal opinion from the city attorney because you were...
No, I am not going to... My opinion is
Council President.
Hold on, everyone. Be quiet, sir. I have to ask you to leave.
and that's not what I'm going to be necessarily
Ms. Hero,
addressing.
I attended training twice for this position, and I
Thank you.
brought that question up. And they told me that the public can ask any questions they wish. If they want to speak about a coup d'etat in Argentina, due to freedom of speech, I have to allow them to do that as long as they maintain the decorum.
I will maintain proper decorum.
Now, if the city attorney disagrees with that, that's his opinion.
Of course, that's his opinion. And I also have the right, if I find a disagreement, to file suit, and I would not hesitate to do that if my rights were denied. Now,
You have 2 minutes.
the fact is, it says, well, no, because we've been interfered, my speech has been interfered with because of someone, so I'd like my full 5 minutes.
2
Thank
minutes,
you.
28 seconds.
4 minutes.
Council President,
It does not automatically, now, this report did not automatically indicate wrongdoing on the part of the broker, and I understand that. But it also says I might want to contact the broker to obtain further information regarding these events. And so I'm just contacting the broker. So it happens to be in public. I'm
Council
sorry.
President, again, what
But
does this have to do with
ironically
city
enough,
business?
I haven't even...
Council
Mr.
President,
Brown,
point
you're
of
the
order.
finance chairman. This has been reported in the local source,
And-
March 6, 2013, page
Ms. Hero,
3.
point of order. Council President, again, this has nothing to do with city business.
Mr. Hudak, like your input into this. I was supposed to go for training once, I went for twice. I
Council
asked a question
President, under the rules of, that we operate, you chair the meeting and have make the decision regarding the matter. This is not council discussing that this is a member of the public.
The training that I received from the League of Municipalities indicated that as long as the person maintained the decorum, that they could discuss anything. I couldn't believe it, but twice, 2 years in a row, I went, and that's what I was told.
So I would like to respond before we get, because here's the deal, Ms. Hero.
The speaker
I'm
on the
going to be asking you things,
but no,
Mr.
Ms. Hero-
Brown.
Ms. Hero,
I'm
I'm
going
gonna
to give
talk
you
about-
the chance to respond.
Ms.
speaker on
Hero,
the floor has
here's
the-
my problem I have, Ms. Hero.
Mr. Brown, the speaker has the floor.
But Council President, this
You'll
has to
have
do
an
with me.
opportunity.
But here's my opportunity, Mr.
The
Moore.
speaker hasn't
Is
spoken.
that Ms. Hero had months to contact me personally. My problem is this, is that this is a legal matter which I want to make it clear,
haven't even
which
heard the-
I was brought,
Mr.
this was
Brown,
brought to my
I
attention.
haven't
This is a
even heard the
legal matter
comments yet.
which I do not want this talked about publicly because I'm having this actually investigated by several agencies. So with that being in mind, Ms. Hero,
Ironically enough, that's
I'm asking
exactly what I was
for-
going to give you
with all
the
due
opportunity
respect-
to say, Mr. Brown, if you had only listened to me.
Well, Ms.
Because I am concerned.
I haven't heard your question yet.
Thank you. First of all, my question is, you are always so, and that's one of the things I was going to ask. How much were you being paid at your last job?
Why,
That's
again, how's this
actually
city
an
business?
interesting question.
That's,
That's so
with all due
relevant.
respect, Ms. Hero, that's none of your
Because why
business.
would you jeopardize that?
Ms. Hero.
That's my first question. Why would you
Ms. Hero,
jeopardize that? And,
Ms. Hero, I do keep a clock, and your time is up on this.
well, I'm sorry, but the fact is, Mr. Brown interfered with most of my time. Therefore, I should have
I
at
do have-
least 2 minutes more.
I have 15 more speakers. It's going to take 65 minutes.
But Jim, she didn't get a chance to speak.
How many people are still here that are going to be on that list? Okay? Mr. Brown, I would hope that if these allegations are untrue, that you would be litigating it. But as far as
I
I
am.
see, when you have an employment situation at a company like that, because I've worked for a big organization, I know you get the right to a hearing. I know you get the right to protest these things.
Patty,
And yet,
Time's up.
Jim,
I'm fair to everybody. Everybody gets 5 minutes. I have a time clock.
you are not fair with me. I mean, with all due respect, Council President, I was interfered with in my speech.
But with all due respect, Ms. Hero, this has nothing to do with city business. If you'd like to talk to me on the
You're
side...
the chairman of finance, and I'd
Yes, I
rather have
am,
it in
but Miss-
public, so you don't accuse me of things.
Miss, I've never accused you of anything. What I am accusing you of right now
But
is that
since we're
you don't have the
public, we
common
won't have a
decency...
problem with that.
But you don't have the common decency to talk to me on the side, because like I explained, this is something that goes way beyond that. When I found out about this, I chose
Mr. Byrne,
to talk to
your time
people
is up,
about this.
and
I chose to have this
continue the
investigated,
conversation.
but yet you have not given me the courtesy to speak to me. You have my phone number. You've contacted me, but instead you chose to come here publicly to try to humiliate me, which I find very
I'm
disturbing.
not trying to humiliate you,
But Ms. Hero,
actually.
then why are you
If you
not
had
speaking to me?
listened, if you had not interrupted my speech and I could have asked you questions, maybe you wouldn't have
Please.
been humiliated.
Your time is up.
But it seems to me you're awfully defensive.
Thank you for your input. Dennis Kobe. Five minutes, please.
Thank you. Dennis Kobe, Palisades Road. I'm aware the city has some financial problems, yet behind Public Works sits about $50,000 worth of metal, if not more. I know some of it might be connected to Hurricane Sandy, but something has to be done about it. Some of that metal's been there 2 years. City could use the finances. While I'm the subject of metal, on the way here, I passed 2 little trucks removing metal from the streets. There's laws out there that state it's against the law to remove that metal. We're losing $40,000 to $50,000 a year. I wish something...
Were you able to get the license plates?
No, I didn't. I wanted to get here on time for this meeting. But with the Privacy Act, sometimes I know when I was a supervisor, I had a hard time convicting them. Some of the council brought up that Public Works needs more employees. Yet, last council meeting, 3 people were hired for public property. I was a little confused by that. Public Works, they're involved with garbage, recycling, roads, sewers, trees, sidewalks, cleaning of Wood Avenue, plowing snow, salting. They cleared a train station during the storms. They're also responsible for cleaning and cutting 31 parks and over 60 lots. Not public property. Public Works does that. And they're also responsible for the 20 or 40 abandoned houses that just call in. Yet, these employees were hired for public property. I'm a little confused. Public Works needs these employees. They made you look good. Years ago, we were the envy of other towns with the services we had. I just hope we could fix that.
Mr. Roth, can you respond to this question?
Maybe Derek?
Dennis, all the titles are interchangeable.
I'm sorry?
All the titles are interchangeable. You can be assigned anywhere.
All the titles are interchangeable?
We have
Explain
divisions. We have divisions here, right?
I don't know,
it's-
you tell me.
Nice. We have a Department of Public Property and Community Services. That's one department. It's subdivided by divisions. If we hire someone for a department, we can put a person anywhere within and amongst the divisions.
I know when I worked here, I was certified under Public Works. I know quite a few titles probably have to still be certified under Public Works.
Well, first of all, you don't certify anyone under Public Works. You're
I
not
have
certified.
documentation at home that
If you're a civil service employee, which you were, as is every employee here, one way or the other, you're either titled classified or non-classified. Non-classified means you serve at the pleasure of the governing body. Classified means that you are assigned a civil service title that has certain rights. Those rights include, when you're appointed to a specific department. You're in the fire department. You can't move civil service-wise from the fire department to the police department unless you get documentation from civil service to do that. We reorganized the departments approximately 4 or 5 years ago. We used to have about 18 departments, 19 departments. The state required us to have no more than 10, including administration and the courts. So we were left with 8. We combined many departments and deleted several that had no employees in it. When we combined departments, we were required to set up specific divisions. And there are 6 or so divisions in public property and community services. And because they're in because all those divisions have been combined, any person can be assigned to anywhere in the department, regardless of a title. So there, as you said, there is nobody that's certified for public works unless it's something in their actual title, like superintendent of public works.
So you're saying the laborers, they could work for public property, public works, yet years I've been there, I never seen one public property employee on the back of a garbage truck behind a lead machine, ever. You called this consolidation a few years ago. I have never saw it at all.
Can't answer
Anyway,
you,
I don't want
Dennis.
to get into a battle about that. There's one other thing I want to bring up. I don't know if anybody has any connections with the state. St. George Avenue, there's no lines. Somebody's going to get killed out there. Somebody has to paint those lines. It's ridiculous. It's been, God, 6
Council
months to
President,
a
I could
year.
answer that.
Mr. Mayor, please.
I've talked to the, number one, the problem was that it got too cold before they were able to put the permanent lines down. So what the state was doing was put temporary lines, and they were wearing out because they're only temporary. Last Friday, I called the engineer in charge of that project that resurfaced Route 27, and he told me that with the weather warming up, in 2 weeks, they will definitely have permanent lines down. That was his statement.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Mr. Ronald Yang? 5 minutes, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Mayor, council members, last month you heard me talk about the adverse impacts of possibly having Walmart come in on us employees over at ShopRite and Pathmark. This month I'd like to expand the comments to how it might affect other citizens here in Linden. As a specific example, I pay my landlady $700 a month rent. Now, her sons have gotten good jobs, but they moved out of the area. So she's left to take care of the house by herself. And so I want to raise the next level question, which is that with the depressed economic situation, many of us are bothered by property taxes. And that's why I think we need to take a more careful look at what's happening at the GM site. You had talked tonight about Duke Realty taking a position so like, build it and they will come. I hope they have a Wharton School finance guy checking that out to make sure that somebody does come. We certainly don't want a place to be empty. From 2 aspects. One is that, as I understand it, Duke Realty is only developing 60%, 60 acres of that property. So I don't understand who made the decision to have warehouses on the rest of the property. So in fact, has Duke Realty brought this council and you into the process? Are we part of having them do this plan for the city? Has anyone gone to a meeting with them?
I've met monthly with Duke Realty. Duke Realty is a private developer. They own 108 acres of General Motors property. As long as they conform to the zoning of that property. They don't have to ask us what they can and cannot build. That was considered light industry when General Motors owned it. They changed to 35 acres fronting 1 and 9 to retail commercial, but behind it where they're building the warehouse, the 500,000 square foot warehouse, that is light industry, so they didn't need permission to build that.
Thank you very much for that explanation. As an example, I guess, in the local source a few months ago, I got the impression that 40 vendors right now, 40 different spots are in that 60-acre spot. And you were separately quoted as saying that $5 million worth of revenue might come to the city. Now, is the $5 million predicated on the development of the 60 acres of the site, or also includes the warehouses?
That's if everything was built tomorrow on that property. That was an economic analysis done a couple of years back.
Okay, so it does include the 60 acres of the site?
That
Yes.
includes 108 acres.
Okay, including the warehouses and the 60 acres?
Correct.
Okay. Let me suggest that maybe we're being shortchanged in two different directions. One, I'd like to sort of feel that probably we'd be getting more tax revenue from retail development rather than by having warehouses. That'd be one. Who made the decision to make that many warehouses? Secondly, I'd like to propose that if we had, maybe I guess I would call it like a coordinated development of properties that would be on that site, that we should be taking a more proactive stance with the company to decide what kind of company should go on that site. And as an example, in Potomac Mills in Maryland, where I and my girlfriend used to shop, that is also a site of 100 acres, but there are 200 stores on it. Now I ask, why can't Duke Realty come up with 200 stores? And if we had 200 stores, then if 40 stores only represented $5 million worth of development, then 200 stores could represent $25 million worth of revenue for the city. At that level, maybe we can even talk about property tax reduction at this point. And so I guess that'd be the point for tonight, that maybe we need more proactive stance. I can understand that they have agreed with all the legal requirements, but maybe we could take a moral stance and say that for the development of the city, we need to make the best use that we can of this property, since this represents our chance to get back what we lost with the industrial base that we had. One more minute, okay. I guess since I gave such a dire look at what Walmart had the last time, maybe I have a better view of that this time. As an example for myself personally, I probably spend about $50 a week on groceries. And maybe if I was at Walmart, well, maybe I'd only spend $25. But I was sort of thinking, if I had a bookstore that was very big nearby, rather than going to Barnes & Noble and Clark, then I might not mind spending $50 worth of book. And in that sense, make back even more than I would have saved by shopping at Walmart. And I think the same thing would be said for many of the outlet malls and the other kinds of, I guess what I call collaborative planning that could be done. These would be kinds of stores that come in that probably could give us the big kinds of discounts, that for those that can afford it, they could afford to keep shopping at ShopRite and Pathmark and not worry. In fact, they would probably have net savings.
Thank you.
And so, okay, and while those, of course, who have to go to Walmart need to do so. Thank you very much.
Judy England McCarthy?
I have to say,
5 minutes, please.
Yes, absolutely. It's been a very interesting evening. I haven't stayed for a council meeting in its entirety for years, and I have to say that I find this very enlightening. One of the things I noticed, and I want to commend the council and the mayor, is that I did notice in the agenda that there was a lot of mention of grants and found money. Now, as a taxpayer, I really appreciate knowing that, you know, that piece of equipment for the fire department, that's great. We get that, and we're not paying for it. So we get a service that we get to access. So on that end, this is for you, Mayor. You said to mention about the potholes. Well, I have to tell you, where I live in Tremley Point, the lower road is horrendous. And the other part is just after Dunkin' Donuts, before you get to the mall that has the Dollar Tree. That stretch of property, I keep thinking, or road, I keep thinking I am going to blow a tire. If you don't catch it, and because you got traffic and it's very busy, I mean, I know part of the problem is that the roads are so busy, but it's actually become very dangerous. As for why I really wanted to be here this evening, I tried to hand out to as many people as I could about this railway arch project. I live in Tremley Point, and I really had to rebuild my house because I got hit. And now they're talking about this project that, and if you don't have one of these flyers that I've handed out, I'll certainly give them to you. But basically what they're trying to do is take the floodplain and fill it up. Now, it makes no sense, and even the Army Corps of Engineers wants to come in and evaluate it, but the DEP is streamlining it and not even allowing the Army Corps of Engineers to look at it. So as my representatives, and as someone who doesn't want to see Linden having to go through what it went through, as well as all the neighboring towns that are along the Railway River, please use your political clout to change the way things are set up here. The only people that will benefit are the corporation and those people that unfortunately are being paid to ignore the common sense here. So I would ask you to really look into this and be the representatives we need you to be to safeguard that we don't spend millions of dollars. Thank you.
Councilwoman Cosby Hurley, you have a comment?
Yes, Mrs. McCarthy, Councilwoman Yamakaitis and Councilman Sadowski and I, we sent a letter to Congressman Payne, who actually requested the Army Corps come in. And like you said, the state DEP is streamlining it, so they're trying to rush it along. I mean, there's a lot of media on this. There was a New York Times article, it was on 105 last week. But we just need to be clear that we don't know for sure if it's gonna affect, and we don't know that it's not gonna affect. So our position, at least those of us, and Councilman Minichenko was not on council when we sent the letter, but it's gonna affect someone, somewhere, and we hope it doesn't affect us here in Linden. And I live on the other side of the ward, but my friends, my neighbors, we're all one town. So I think it's very, very important. So I just wanted you to know that we are, some of us, looking to, at least get the study done so we know for sure what the impact will be.
If I could interrupt, it was 28 feet they intend to raise the soil.
Yes, basically, I'll make it really quick.
Thank
But basically what they're going to do is take
28.
from you can't hear me?
No, I say they're going to raise the soil
raise it.
level 28
Oh, raise it,
feet.
okay. Basically, they're going to take from New York City, this Maryland company is gonna come and take from New York City
I know.
enough of this concrete, which has petroleum in it, okay, so it's toxic, and they're gonna load up 29 feet. Now, the law stated 29 feet high.
I said 28 feet, I didn't know it was 29.
Okay, but they're going to load it up, and this whole idea that it's not going to affect the floodplain or the quality of the water if it starts seeping in there, I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist, and for whatever reason, they're trying to streamline this through. I mean, the DEP had to give them an extra waiver, because by law, they could only put in 2 feet. And so they got this waiver to go 29 feet. I mean, it doesn't take a rocket
As
scientist.
the councilwoman said that we are trying.
Oh, no, and I knew about the letter, and I knew about that letter, and actually several people, mayors have gone on, sent this letter and stuff to Christie, but it's like, it's to no avail. I don't know why. Okay, sorry.
Thanks. Patty Murga.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, Council President. And thank you already for your time, Mayor. My hat goes off to you. Thank you very much. I've been out of doing things and doing research for over 2 years, and I received a piece of mail from you. I don't like the piece of mail I got, and I'm going to read my reasons why. Please do not interrupt until I am done, and then you and I can have a nice discussion about it.
I missed you, Pat.
You have to keep it 5
Really,
minutes.
Mayor, did you
Yes,
really?
I did. Yes, I did.
Okay. I have received a flyer in the mail about changing our charter. As I read the flyer, there is information that is missing and should be stated. There are 4 forms of the Faulkner Act. 1, mayor council. Mayor has strong powers. The other one is council manager. The other one is small municipality, which is only for 12,000 people. And the other is mayor, council, and administrator, which is similar to what we have in our as now, except that we have a business administrator. 2 of them, the council manager and small municipality, does not apply to Linden. The one that you chose, Mayor, to inform us about, the one that gives you complete control of the budget and also wants to bring our council down to 7. Why that number? I don't know, because according to the mayor, the number on the Mayor Council Faulkner Act, it could be 5, 7, or 9.
Correct.
And you chose 7.
Yes.
Okay. Also, the flyer does not state that if this is approved by the residents of the city of Linden, the state of New Jersey would have to come in and do a redistricting. Now, with that comes a cost, and it costs the city money, which then costs the taxpayers' money to do this. You kind of left that little piece of the cost off. I also have a call into the state asking them how much it would cost. I'm still waiting for a number to come back to me. Also, the flyer states that it would save approximately $80,000. I could not come up with that figure no matter what I try to do with rounding up. The most I came up with just laying off 4 councils, doing away with the 4 councils like you wanted to do, was $71,200. Even if you got rid of the council president position and that was eliminated, it would still only come out to approximately $76,000. Now, Judge Cassidy came in and says that we can have a council president, which I'm glad. Thank you for that. Budget numbers have to be exact, which brings me to another point, Mayor. You have come from being a captain to being the captain of the police department. I want to make sure I stipulate that, to a part-time councilman, to a part-time mayor. I know that you put in 14 hours a day, but at the same time...
2 minutes, please.
Thank you. At the same time, I also know that our council members also do, so it kind of upset me a little bit when you kind of put down to me or mock being a part-time councilman. I guess what I want to make sure is, I don't know, yes, we do need a $96 million, we have in my $96 million budget. At the same time, I understand that it's hard to come in, and yes, corporations have CPAs that do it. If you have the authority now from council to do a business administrator, that's the person who should be doing the budget, not a mayor of a former captain or a former councilman. It's doing the same thing that we have here already. What I would suggest is that you have council form a committee with council members, as you did with the business administrator, but this time you have people from the wards come in also along the side and do a charter study. Yes, you did a charter study in 1970, and I see it very nicely on the back of it. You highlighted very nicely everything that you wanted to make sure pointed out. But at the same time, this is now 2014. Maybe a charter study needs to be done. And maybe our council that is intelligent and people from the wards can participate to see really if this is necessary.
30 seconds, please.
I'm done.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor?
Pat, I respect your opinion, but I totally disagree with it.
Of course you do.
And Would you expect anything less?
Not at all, not at all.
Okay.
It's a good love-hate relationship, I understand that.
What, you got to remember, it's a flyer. I can't put every single detail on a flyer. It would be just too busy. I am a firm believer that this form of government is dysfunctional. I have served on this form of government since 1994. That doesn't mean that the council persons are dysfunctional, but this form of government is dysfunctional. Yes, we had to clarify, about 6 months ago, this governing body did adopt the business administrator after about a 2-year study by a committee picked by this governing body. The only issue I have there is that this governing body charged that committee with finding a business administrator and citing him under this form of government. And under this form of government, with 11 council persons, he would only be a figurehead because he wouldn't have the authority. He'd have to go back to the committees, which is how this form of government runs, by committees with chairmen in charge of public works, etc. And therefore, he would be only a figurehead. I believe in an administrator. At this point, council directed me to start looking at a business administrator because it's my pick on the state statute. And I am doing that with a committee that I formed to recommend or help me recommend a business administrator. But again, I feel that 37% of this population, which is governed by a Faulkner Act charter, and most of that is the big cities that have the Faulkner Act. You can't run a $96 million corporation by part-time people. And again, it's not reflecting on their ability. It's just the process can't run. We've had an opening in the construction code for over 5 months before it was finally acted upon. If we want to put somebody on in Public Works, we have to go to the Public Works Committee to make a recommendation. We have to go to the Personnel Committee. We have to go to the Finance Committee. Again, it's an inefficient form of government for the 21st century. I'm exercising my right as a citizen and as the mayor of this city to put this on referendum. I hope I could get 4,000 signatures to do so and let the people decide. Some people have opinions that it's necessary. Other people don't. But again, that's what democracy is all about, to put it on a ballot, let the people decide.
But
again-
Mayor, couldn't you have a resolution put through to have the business administrator have the authority?
No, it's not the way it was written.
Excuse me, what?
That's not the way the ordinance was written.
I have a,
Okay.
Mrs. Yamakaitis would like to make a
Mr.
comment.
Council President?
Yes.
Mr. Hudak.
Yeah, I
Okay.
just want to clarify something, because the mayor is talking about the business administrator ordinance that was adopted. Under the state statute, and with all due regard to the mayor, your council is succeeding powers and giving them to the business administrator. He does not have to go back to committees. He comes back to council with his directions. It's just exactly the same way the Faulkner Act works. So you're not going to be going through 5 levels of committee.
In theory, I hope. Mrs. Yamakaitis.
Council President, Councilman Zadowski and I served on this committee for 2 years, and we sat for numerous hours listening to different municipalities that came in, and there is a business administrator under this form of government that's very, functioning very well in Summit. So this could be done under this form of government. Thank you, Mr. President. I told you I'd be brief.
Council President?
Time's up. Thank
Okay.
you.
Council President?
Thank you.
Mr. Brown?
Yeah, it's real quick. I don't know how other council members feel, but when we did like John said, the city attorney, we're giving up power to the business administrator. That's number one. Number two, I don't feel like I run the city. I'm not sure if any other council members. What we do is, I want to be clear, when we have committees, we work with our department heads. Department heads are the ones that run the day-to-day operation. I feel our job on council is to help set policy. So for instance, my job is to work with the treasurer. The treasurer is the one that signs off on the paperwork, handles the day-to-day operation. It's just a matter of setting up policy that we work with the treasurer. So I think that's a little misleading, saying that the council members here are part-time and trying to run the city. No, we're trying to work with our department heads to help set policy. We get feedback from residents, and then we try, with that feedback, try to set a policy in place. And the only question I have, though, for the mayor, I would like him to answer, it's the only question that's been bothering me, is that when he was a council member, he never brought this up, and the system seemed to work for him then. I just don't understand how you go from being a council member, the system
Mr.
worked,
Brown,
now to being a mayor, the
can
system
you ask
doesn't.
this question during the week?
Okay.
Personally, with the mayor, I'd like to get to Gretchen Hickey, please.
Well, I would just like to say one thing, Council President. Council President, can I say something?
What, Mayor?
I don't expect this governing body to embrace what I'm trying to do, especially since I want to reduce the council persons from 11 to 7. I expect pushback from the governing body, but I think anybody could realize that when you got 11 people that got to decide something, you can't get 3 people to agree on something, not only 11. But again, this is the governing body's right to oppose me, just like I have the right to seek the 4,000 signatures to put this on a ballot.
Thank you very much. Gretchen?
I'm
5
sorry,
minutes,
Gretchen
please.
Hickey, 615 Inwood Road. I'll try and make it quick. First, I'd like to,
5 minutes.
I'll be less than 5 if you don't keep saying 5 minutes. On behalf of the 10th Ward, some of the 10th Ward residents, they've been also worried about the vandalism in the neighborhood. I'd just like to thank the mayor and Chief Schulhafer and Councilman Medina for staying on top of it. Second, congratulations to Linden basketball team, but we also have to remember Roselle Catholic also won tonight. We do have many residents in our city that do attend Roselle Catholic, and I think we always kind of forget about them, and they're never brought up in the limelight like they should be. Most importantly, why I came up to speak is because I got mad text messages from my sister Jennifer. My sister Jennifer Brooke lives at 1551 Dill Avenue at the Housing Authority. Early Sunday evening, there was a fire. As the fire department knows, they could attend the Housing Authority anywhere from 5 to 10 times a day, depends how many people are burning toast that day. But this was a real fire. Due to Lieutenant Barra, Sergeant Petrosky, and my sister was unaware of the 3rd police officer from the other building, Lieutenant Barra went up to the 3rd floor apartment quickly and extinguished the fire, and we did have a real fire that time. My sister Jennifer wanted me to thank the Linden Police Department and also the Linden Fire Department for doing an amazing job, for keeping everyone calm, for keeping them informed over the intercom. And she also wanted to thank Ann Ferguson for making sure the buildings are secure with an officer on duty, because if that officer wasn't there that day, we could have had a lot more damage to the buildings than what happened due to his quick response and the response of others. So there are many, I never take it for granted what the fire department and the police department do under great direction, and I just want to thank you on behalf of myself and especially on behalf of my sister Jennifer Brooke. Have a good night.
Thank you very much. Jacqueline Williams? Five minutes, please.
Jacqueline Williams, 8th Ward. I just want to say good evening to the members of the City Council, Mayor, and Council President. I was a little bit late, so I do want to congratulate Mrs. Copland and the others who were honored here tonight. I know that Mrs. Copland is also being honored by the county for her services, and it could not have happened to a better person, so congratulations to you. For Michelle, I would like to thank you. I know I said that I was going to say it before, but it wasn't really the appropriate time. But I do want to thank you for the trees that we received. A couple of my trees in front of my house had died for whatever reason, and they were replaced. And I also want to thank you for having, I guess it was DPW who fixed the grass that the water department left a big giant hole, and we kept falling into that. So thank you for having it fixed as well. Congratulations to the Linden Tigers. I am so proud of you. You deserve everything that you get, and I do hope that you win, continue to win, and win the national championships. I wanted to make mention about the Affordable Health Care Act. I'm sorry, I'm kind of murmuring my words. I'm a little bit tired tonight. I do want to remind the residents about the deadline that's coming up very quickly. March 31st is the deadline to enroll in the Affordable Health Care Act to get your insurance coverage. Just for clarification purposes, I know that some people had heard that there was an extension that was granted for 2 years, and that is true. However, that extension does not keep you from being fined the following year if you're not signed up by the 31st. The President of the United States is basically giving the states more time to get their people signed up for coverage because there's still a lot of people who are not covered and do not have health care coverage. I had something that I wanted to mention really quick because Plainfield and Elizabeth, from my understanding, are two of the highest cities where the residents are uninsured. I know it was in NewJersey.com that Plainfield is having some registration efforts. You can go into some facilities that are set up out there, and they will help you enroll over the computer. But Linden and Roselle came in a close second for having the highest number of people uninsured. So we do want to make sure that people are aware of this deadline. I mentioned once before, if you are not employed, if you don't have income, you are still required to have health insurance. It's called the Affordable Health Care Act for a reason. It goes by your income. So if you don't have any income, more than likely you will be provided free health care services or may have to pay $1 or whatever the case may be, but you won't know that until you actually go in. I have a couple of websites and then I'll take my seat. You can go to www.healthcare.gov. You can go to www.obama-care.org. There's also one for Medicare supplements, obama.medicaresupplement.com. And to actually purchase the healthcare insurance or shop around for your plan of choice, you can go to www.healthcaremarketplace.com. Thank you so much and have a great evening.
Jackie.
Thank you very much.
Can you forward me email?
Sure.
John Francis Roman. Five minutes, please.
Oh, I'm not going to use 5 minutes. 10:45 already. I don't want to keep you guys here any more than I have to. We spent half an hour before talking about something, the program, $32,000. In that amount of time, the city of Linden spent $9 grand. If you look at our $100 million budget divided by the minutes, like we sit here and bicker over these little pennies when there's a budget that needs to get done. I mean, you guys are sitting up here essentially campaigning, talking about, oh, this is what I'm going to do, this is what I'm going to do. This is business. You're supposed to get down and use our tax dollars appropriately right now. And it is no different than it is any year. You guys aren't going to get the things needed to get done. You're just going to sit here and try to frame people, try to tell people, have people come up here and talk bad about other councilmen. I mean, you are wasting our time, straight up. We elect you to do right by us, and you are more concerned about petty differences than worrying about the people that got you here. And it's ridiculous. I'd like to thank Mr. Medina and congratulate him. Thank him for the prompt response, also Mr. Mayor, and the police department for their prompt response from the thefts in Sunnyside. A lot of people were concerned, and they did a hell of a job. I'd also like to tell people that recently we did have Senator Sweeney in town to talk about destruction in Mr. Menarchenko's ward. There is a grant offered by the county, not necessarily by the county, but you can go to the county website and find $5,000 grant for people who are affected by Sandy. You could either be 60 or disabled, and the funds are there in case anyone at home needs it still. Let's get the hell out of here. I'm going home. I can't take this circus no more.
President. Hey, John, just to let you know, I don't know if you were here earlier, but I did mention that, and I put my number out there. I do have the applications for that grant.
Paul Lasky.
You making me go back?
I'm sorry if I slaughtered that. Could you help me out?
Paul Ladinsky,
Thank you.
1150 West St. George's Avenue. Good evening, all. I'd like to discuss this lawsuit between the city and the Board of Education. And Mr. Brown says in this article from January 17th that 50% of nothing is better. 50% of something is better than 100% of nothing. Okay? Now, they owe us $300,000. Then he turns around and says, the city wants the money to go into the city coffers instead of the Board of Education. Okay? Well, if I go to pay my taxes and I decide, guess what? My kids, I don't have kids in school. They haven't been in school for 15 years. And 61% of my taxes are going to the Board of Education. In May, when I go to pay my taxes, I'm going to give 39%, because 39% is better than nothing.
Can I respond?
Sure.
Real quick, the whole theory behind that is very simple. Right now,
Mr. Brown, Councilman Brown, I would advise this is a matter in litigation, and council should not be discussing it.
all right.
We
How do
have
I
an
play?
interpretation by our attorney, and we have to abide by that.
Okay. But I just don't understand the comments.
Can I say we haven't received any money yet, or? Okay.
Mr. Brown, please listen to the city attorney. Okay, Henry Mack. 5 minutes, sir. Mr. Mack, 5 minutes.
Thank you kindly. Mr. Mayor, Mr. President of City Council, and may I, if you will, Mr. Mayor and President of City Council, I would ask you for 3 seconds to consult with my representative before I continue to speak, sir, with your permission.
Has he signed the list to speak?
Excuse me?
Has he signed the list to speak?
He is the counselor of the ward that I am speaking for. I want to get his consent.
I
am grateful. I want his consent, that I may have authorization.
Henry, I understand what you're saying now.
Okay, thank you. Thank you kindly.
Mr. Moore, he has my consent.
Thank you kindly.
May I have permission to speak? Sure. My permission.
That was tricky. I didn't.
Mr. Mayor, Mr. President of the City Council, please be advised that I have spoken to the council of the union, the unit that I am a part of. He gave me permission to speak to Mr. Mayor. I want you, I'm talking to councilmen and women of this committee, to follow my dialogue. Ask for permission. This is our problem down here. And I'm just a little bit tired of we going over the boundary line. I went to council, asked him for permission to speak. Peter Brown has a ward. Sir, you have a ward. I believe first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th. You have a ward. Tell your people, yo, I'm talking to you, City Council. Talk to me. Stay out of the mayor's office. Then we'll eliminate that problem. Watch your language. Stay out of the mayor's office till you go through your counselor. I respectfully humble myself to the people. If you will, go to your councilman and then let him talk to the president of city council. Then the president of city council will talk to the mayor. The problems that I sit here tonight and listen attentively. I respectfully listen attentively. And everything I heard, you're out of order. Mr. Mayor, it's your fault. I'm talking to you. You, Mr. Mayor, you are the leader of this community. I'm talking to you. Mr. President, I'm talking to you. The people told me to come up here and tell you they are sick and tired. Watch the language. Watch the language. Sick and tired. I identified the wards. Tell your people, you got the debt work to tell them. You got a problem with the mayor? Tell me first. Got a problem with the president of the city council? Tell me first. Tell me. Then go tell your council person. If they don't do what you told them to do, I said to the community, fire them when they come to election. Fire them. I said it. But all of this running back and playing these club games, Constitution of Linden said no. Mr. Mayor, I'm telling you, I'm coming to your office because we know how me and you do. We've been doing it since 1964. I ain't gonna change the policy, and you can't change it. Watch the language.
1 minute, sir.
What you say?
1 minute.
You can't change the policy, Mr. Mayor, and don't even attempt to change it. I told you, the people told me to tell you, don't attempt to change the policy. Watch the language. I'll be in your office as soon as I can get there. Bang, bang, bang.
Thank you. Councilwoman Cosby Hill.
Mr. Mack is always a tough act to follow, but thank you for your comments. My comments were specifically about the committee, the form of government, and my experience, and I've only been here for 3 years and 3 months. But before I do that, those of you on my email list or those of you subscribed to my Facebook will get this notice, which I received today, to the point that Ms. Williams was making about the Affordable Care Act. When I came into City Council, I was able to, with the cooperation of the committee, to actually move a nonprofit organization into a public facility where she's there 5 days a week providing services for Linden and residents of Union County. That would be Mrs. Pamela Jones, and she runs Communities in Cooperation. Tomorrow, between the hours of 10 a.m. and 3 p.m., they're going to have a workshop on how you can get coverage through the marketplace. If you are not familiar with the center, it's 1025 John Street. If you need more information, you can contact Victoria at CIC. The number is 908-290-3107. And again, it's the one-day only workshop held through the CIC for the health insurance marketplace, just to help people to get the coverage or just get the information that they need. So that will be going out on email. If you're not on the email, of course, anyone's welcome to join. But the reason I put my name on the public list is because I want to just speak as a member of the public at this point. Having been on the other side of the dais for some 8 years, coming to council because I felt underrepresented, and then actually joining the council, I've seen how committees don't work. And the mayor's saying it's the committee form of government doesn't work. It's the members on the committee who don't work. And I'm saying that with all due respect to those people who have been here for many, many, many years, and things haven't really changed all that much for the better. We have committees that would get an issue and it would go by the wayside for months. It took us a year to get background checks pushed through a committee. We had a committee that when you give them information, they don't bring it to the full council, which is something that's important that everyone, at least when you get something in committee, whether you are going to move it or not, at least when you have a committee report, you say, this is what we talked about or what we discussed, and this is what the issue was. and this is how we felt as a committee. So I've been here, and I know personally, when I'm assigned to a committee, I do my due diligence. We work, and we work very hard. Some of us more than others, but those of us who are new, and I'm going to say Councilman Byer, he's the newest with Councilman Minichenko and Councilman Medina, they're workers. And I don't know how they take or what you feel about, personally, the changing of the government. The government itself, the way it is, works. I think we should have a business administrator with our form of government. It will work. And when we had the debate, because it went to the committee, about what the business administrator's duties would be, you know, it was clear. You will be yielding some of your councilmanic responsibilities, but you, as the member of the council, are still responsible for representing those members of your neighborhood, and that's what's important. We have the numbers here to prove that we should have a representative from every neighborhood. I have 4,200 people in my neighborhood alone. So when you say to me, Mayor, you chose to go from an option of 9 to 7, for what? We sat here, and I can't tell you the date, I can look it up, but I had a longstanding councilman say clearly, he just wants power.
1 minute, please.
Thank you. The mayor told us all, absolutely, I want more power. I'm not here for power, I'm not here for politics, I'm here for progress. And I think that in the short time that I've been here, you've seen things get done. And the 5th Ward, you know, which is my home area, but citywide, because at the end of the day, I represent the entire city. If somebody sees me, it's not, oh, she's from the 5th Ward. It's, she's from Linden. So we all have to really think about that, you know, as we do our jobs in town, out of town, or wherever we do. And Mr. Roman, when you say that we're campaigning, you know, we have to give the information that we need. Some of us are, you know, shooting jabs at other council members, and I kind of got used to that. When I first got here, I couldn't understand what it was all about, but now I get it. So this election cycle is going to be very interesting, to say the least. But as Mr. Mack said, if that representative is not responsive, if that representative hasn't done anything, fire them, period. Can I say I'm running for mayor too?
Just did.
Council President, I have to respond to some accusations made by Roshana Cosby Hurling.
Go ahead, Mayor. Briefly, please.
I have personally seen councilpersons interfere with the day-to-day operations of department heads. We have an issue right now with one department head complaining about individual interfering, a councilperson interfering with that department, and I have witnessed that interference by not following the chain of command and going into the department head and instead going to employees. For you to say that I would expect that from my detractors, that I'm looking for power. I'm not looking for power, I'm looking for efficient government. And this government does not run efficiently the way the charter is set up. And I will tell you this, that if this governing body approves tomorrow the Faulkner Act, which will give a business administrator and the mayor the power to run the day-to-day operations, and give city council the power to control the purse strings and issue law, it's no different than what the president does with with Congress, and it's no different than what the governor does with the legislature. They run the day-to-day operations, and then they have legislature make law and control the purse strings. But as I said, if this governing body tomorrow approved the Faulkner Act, to show you how much power I want, Councilwoman Cosby Hurling, I will resign from the mayoralship. If you approve the Faulkner Act, Rich Grabunka will resign from the mayoralship.
Can I
Council
respond?
President.
Can I respond?
Mr. Sharpie's next.
Please.
5 minutes, please.
You let Peter talk.
5 minutes.
It's just three things that
Mr.
I got.
Sharpie,
There's
5
just
minutes.
three things I got. The train station.
Mr. Sharpie has the floor. Mr. Sharpie, you have the floor. Will you continue, please?
I just got three things, the train station, delays and everything. All the other train stations that go on the tracks, on the thing, they got a heated facility, the boxes. We don't have it here in Linden. And we just got money for it. Another thing, Public Works. Up until, great man over there, they used to have 2 shifts on Public Works. Things were done. Now we only got 8 hours to do all this work. Why can't it be 16 hours? Why can't it be divided so things could be done? Okay? And the third one is what the headline we have in the paper at a lecture today. Drugs and addiction. You know, we're losing a lot of students due to drugs and alcohol and diseases. It's a disease. And that's what we're calling for Recovery High School throughout the state by the governor. And also Ray Lesniak over in our neighboring district has one that's going to be going up at Kane College. We have drug in our school district too. A lot of its actions is happening downtown through the barber shops and everything. I see it every day. You know, I've been living an honest life, one day at a time, since 1992, June 10th. You know, I know what is going on here. Everybody turns their back. Just one of your children get an addiction and see how you have to deal with it. You know? You know, we're here to better Linden. And the taxpayers will make the decision. Once that we get 4,000 signatures, let us taxpayers show how this government is. Mr. Bianco mentioned the Kennedys. Well, my family wrote for them. Morris Shopping, he was my father's best man at his wedding, John F. Kennedy. Both Linden, I got pictures to prove how long I've been in politics. You know, let's straighten out Linden. Let's move it forward. Let's get with the century we're living. I go over to Westfield. You walk downtown, the people are out at night. Here, what do I got? A dead town. 6 o'clock, it shuts down. Come on, wake up. Let's get back to reality. Let's move Linden forward. Let's get our streets clean. Let's get our, you know, it's ridiculous. Wake up. We need change. You know, over in Pennsylvania, they got 3 freeholders for a whole county. And even in a town, the population I come from, 40,000. We got 4 councilmen, an elected treasurer, elected city clerk, you know, and government runs smoothly. The streets are clean and all this. Downsize. That's what I have to talk about.
Mrs. Yamakaishi, I had a request.
Yes, Ms. Williams asked if I would announce the phone number for the healthcare hotline. It's toll-free number 1-800-318-2596, and that's for the Obamacare information. Thank you, Mr.
The
President.
following council meetings will
Council
be as
President.
follows. Special
Council
council
President.
meeting, conference meeting, Tuesday, March 25th, 2014, at 6:30 p.m. in the council conference room, City Hall, 301 Northwood Avenue. Council conference meeting, Monday, April 14th, at 6 p.m. in the council conference room, City Hall, 301 Northwood Avenue. Council conference meeting prior to the council meeting, Tuesday, April 15, 2014, at 6 p.m. in the council conference room, City Hall, 301 Northwood Avenue. Council meeting Tuesday, April 15, 2014, at 7 p.m. in the council chambers, 301 Northwood Avenue. I ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Just to make sure that next Tuesday will be a special budget meeting in the conference rooms, which will be televised. I need a second to adjourn.
Second.
Mr. Colvin?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Brown? No. Armstead? Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski? Midachinko?
Yes.
Yamakaitis? Medina?
Yes, yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.